to come in. Clear my throat and welcome everybody. Welcome back, Mystics, to Mystic Manifesting. Today we are joined by the second man, aka Neville Goddard, on Instagram, and second man on YouTube. So give him a follow. If you notice, I'll probably share most of his posts on my story if you know me from Instagram as well. But today we are going to discuss a lot of things, and we're going to start with who is the second man and what got you into this.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. I'm basically just a manifesting teacher. I'm a manifesting YouTube channel, The Second Man, and I just teach people how to manifest. That's pretty much sums me up.
Perfect. Yeah, and I also found you too through there when I creeped your page. I was like, Neville Goddard, he's back. And then I saw
he's reincarnated.
I was like, he's an actor just like me. Neville was also a vaudeville performer. Yeah. And you wear the suits. I'm like, all right, well, we got to get him on the show. So
yeah, I appreciate it.
And well, there's a lot of stuff we're going to discuss today.
Yeah.
And thank you everyone for coming in. If you just got here, you know we're starting a little bit earlier, and we are going to start with what was your biggest breakthrough? I know for me on this channel, it was manifesting an SP, which led to that whole journey, and that was like my most popular video. And people always want to know. I'm sure you get it too. Like they always want to know about that.
Well, my biggest breakthrough in manifesting was testing it out with lots of small different things. Like it's easy to manifest small things. It's a lot easier to manifest small things than bigger things. So when you just do lots of small things over and over and over again, you can't argue that there is no link between the outside world and your mind. And that was my biggest breakthrough. It's just lots of small experiments working.
Exactly. And it's like, that's why a big thing I actually learned it from someone else and then applied it myself, which was the mini manifestation list, where I would just list out a bunch of little things I'd want to see, wouldn't really worry about it that much, and then you'd see them come into your reality, and it's like Neville said, the only reason a bigger thing is hard to obtain is because you've put so much weight or it's so ingrained in you, but because you're manifesting all day long anyway.
So yeah, that's very true. It's like I heard in the documentary The Secret, I don't know the exact wording, it's been a very long time since I've watched it, but it says it's like it's no different to manifest $1 and an elephant. Well, I don't know, there's no difference between like $1 or like $1 million. Like everything's as easy. It's just what we believe is important and hard to manifest.
Yeah, that was something that I learned too, and it was like everything is a perception. Like to God in the universe, your SP is no different than finding $1 on the road, and it's like that's why it's like everything is a sign, which is what I taught people, because everyone would say, "What are angel numbers? What are this? What are that?" And it's like everything is a sign if you make it a sign.
Absolutely.
You're on the ground means you're a millionaire, and then who knows? The next day you play the lottery, pick up a scratch off, and you win.
Yeah, that's very true.
Let's see. So from there, what are like the most common problems you see with people or yourself that you've encountered?
I think the most common problem, and I'm actually going to make a video on this on my channel soon, but I think lots of people are really worried about results in reality. Like many people are trying to manifest physical things in their world, and I think that's a huge blunder. Like I do think that's a big issue. It's hard. We're obviously conditioned as humans to try and get things in reality, but when you really have to try and feel fulfilled in your mind unconditionally from the outside world, I think that is the best way to manifest. But many people are very conditioned to results in the world.
Yeah, and even I will admit to myself on that, being guilty of that. It's like you want to experience it, and it's like it's one thing to experience it in imagination, it's one thing in reality. But when you finally get to that point, like when I've had all my big breakthroughs, the reality and the imagination felt no different because your imagination is so strong at that point. It's like right now with the stuff I'm manifesting and working on, I don't really go on my phone anymore. I don't check social media unless it's to post here or post on my other stuff, and it's just to post my things, answer some comments, and then get off. And then from there, it's like I'm just doing sats all day. It's like when you look at Neville, it's like what did he do? He read the Bible, wrote, and he meditated. That's it. He didn't really watch TV or movie stuff and stayed out of the news just because it's all negative things.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point you said with them. It was no difference between imagination and reality. And that's like, let's say I want something. I would close my eyes and I would imagine that I have it. And it would, if I believe my imagination is as real as reality, in that moment it would feel different. It wouldn't. And that's how you fulfill your desires unconditionally.
Yeah, no, that's 100% right, and that's this is the thing that we all get so I think torn away from because it's like it you feel like it's almost trusting the process and as
Yeah.
a movie guy too you'll probably get this reference I made it the other day on live um if you've ever watched the Indiana Jones series and the
Yeah.
last crusade when he's walking and he's got to go get the Holy Grail, there's a
Mm-hmm.
huge leap to get over there. He's trying to figure it out. And it's like you just have to take the step, even though you can't see the bridge. The bridge was invisible the whole time, which is
Yeah.
a metaphorical thing for like bridge of incidents.
Yeah, that's really that's a good. I haven't seen any Indiana Jones movies,
Oh, you have
but
it?
that does I haven't. But that does seem interesting. Like the invisible bridge is just that leap of faith
Yeah.
walking across the bridge. That's a very good metaphor.
Let's see real quick. Morning, Mark.
Morning, everyone.
Morning. Morning, Honda Boy. Good morning, Nicole. Welcome back. You were here last night. Manifesting an SP is always the most popular. Sir, it is. And looking dapper and exquisite. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, the SP is the by single-handedly the most popular topic. Whenever I check, I look at other YouTubers, see how they're doing, and it's always the most popular videos. I know with your YouTube channel, the most popular videos always how to manifest an SP.
Yeah, exactly. That's like my video when I started the channel. I think it was about healing a health thing, which was my torn chest. It was manifesting an SP back 5 times. And then manifesting the first manifestations I ever had were like becoming prom king when I was in grammar school. Didn't even realize it, and just I kept joking about it, and then it happened. And then like our high school ring was supposed to be red. Like you don't have a choice. Like that's all it is. So I filled out all the paperwork to make it red and everything like that. But every time I pictured it, I was picturing a blue one, and it showed up blue exactly the way. And they're like, "We've made a mistake." I'm like, "It's blue." They're like, "How do you know?" I'm like,
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, we'll get it replaced." I'm like, "It's all right. It's all right. It's all good." But it's like I made all those videos in the beginning, but the SP one, I think now it's probably got like 15,000 views. Like that's what everybody wants to see.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Like with every YouTube channel, I always see what do people want to see, what's the popular videos, and whenever I look at every channel, the top one is always SP. Everyone.
Yeah. And another thing with manifesting SP, it's a little side note for some stuff I've been working on. It's not just SP, but it's like other things in life too. Like especially, it's like I think it works if someone's passed away or something. It's just like a soothing exercise, but it's also something like if someone's not in your life and you want to reconnect with them. It was something you brought up in your video that I really liked the other day was using the memory techniques
Memory.
and reliving
Sorry,
that.
my phone's in the background. Sorry about the noise. If you can hear.
Oh no, you're good. I got the back, so there'll be noise too coming from outside, and probably if they're doing landscaping today, I didn't even check.
Yeah. But you were talking about the memory video.
Sorry, what was that?
You were talking about the memory video.
Oh yeah. So in the memory video, it's like I've done that before too. It's like especially in terms of an SP or something like that. When you're using memories of something that's already happened, my experience with it is later on when SP comes back or people who are in contact with SP that you happen to run into will say, you know what she just talked about the other day or what she's been talking about or thinking about. And it was always the memories I was playing whenever we were split up. And I was like, wow, that's crazy because out of all the memories we've had, things we've had, why is it those things?
Yeah, that's true. Like even with friends, like I think about a memory and then a friend brings up the memory. It is crazy how it works. No, that does happen.
And it's funny too.
Like I'm with like family and I'm like just thinking about something and my family member brings up and like, well now that I know it's all manifestation, I'm not really shocked anymore. But it can be shocking in the beginning.
Yeah, especially it's like I've really played with that idea a lot because I'm like, you know what, that's a technique. I mean, I've used it while I quote unquote go balls to the wall on trying to get something. I'll just use memory, visualizing, affirming, scripting. I'll do every method when I really want something. So my brain is only focused and dialed in on one thing. But that's one where I was like, maybe for a certain manifestation, like just use the memory stuff from it, or just like list out a bunch of things you wanted to see. Like I put one time, get a phone call from 5 people I haven't talked to since I was a kid, and 3 of them wound up calling me within a few weeks or messaging me within a few weeks, like I visualized. But 2 of them, And then I was like, man, that sucks. But then one of the people's birthdays came up, and then it was like months and months later, another person's birthday came up, and I just wished happy birthday. And then I see the message come back. So it's like that was a little bit of inspired action, but it was like a natural setup.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, that's true.
Um, we were also going to talk about misconceptions too. I mean, I don't know if you're on TikTok. I know on TikTok I post, but not
TikTok,
relevant.
I need to upload more frequently on it. It's just called The Second Man. It's no different
Oh,
from my YouTube channel. It's just shorts. But
yeah, that's what
that's something I do want to develop on. Yeah.
I've only been like, I'll go on there just for like the little shorts. Like I'll whatever shorts I have here, I'll throw them up there. Or if I'm not lazy, I'll clip stuff out of the videos and put it up there. Throw the music on the back, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so on TikTok, I'm not like that relevant on there. I don't post that much. I mean, I actually have the same amount of subscribers as I do here, but um, a lot of things are I'm finding people who I meet in the 3D world. They're like, oh, I know about manifesting from TikTok, but their
Oh,
information is
yeah.
odd a lot of times.
Yeah, the thing is, TikTok is like the most popular TikTok manifesting videos. It's like you see a candle, a crystal, and someone says, "Oh, like this video for you to manifest your dreams," or comments 333. And
Yeah,
it's true because it's ruining manifestation because
yeah,
it's absolutely not it's a scam in my opinion. But
yeah.
no, there's lots of misconceptions in manifesting.
It's
As
a
I said, and many people say it's because it's so popular, so many people make videos. And I do believe it's only a small percentage of people who really know manifesting well and truthfully. But
yeah,
lots of people, yeah, there's so many misconceptions of manifesting, especially on TikTok.
yeah. No, that's for sure. Because it's like, I think I mentioned this. I mentioned it yesterday actually on the live about the story, and I don't know if I told you before, where I accidentally wound up wandering into a place that turned out to be a strip club, and all of them
Oh,
manifested money, and they were manifesting money and
yeah,
abundance and life like that. And I said, oh, okay, and then they started telling me because my friend said, oh, he's a manifesting coach.
mm,
And I said, "Oh yeah, I am." And then like everyone's asking me questions like, "Well, I learned this on TikTok," and it's like, if I save this sound and use it by this day, or my numbers to find, and it's like, no, that's not manifesting. That's someone getting clicks. And then I wound up
yeah,
manifesting in the strip club, which was the unique experience.
that must be fun. But
Yeah,
that is so true. You see all the time on TikTok, like, oh yeah, save this, listen to this sound, and you'll become rich. And it's
yeah,
like, oh, and
I'm listening.
they're the most popular ones. They're the most popular videos. And it's annoying in a sense because when you speak to people about manifesting, they just assume it's all that TikTok stuff. And of course, it's not real when you see those videos like, oh, listen to this sound while you sleep and you're going to become a millionaire. It's like, it's a scam. It's only to get views. And that's most popular content for manifesting, obviously because it gives people hope. It's an easy way out. But it
Yeah,
does ruin and tarnish the name of manifesting, which is a real shame. That's
yeah,
why. That's the reason I made the YouTube channel is to tell people the truth and to clear the name manifesting.
yeah. That's kind of how I felt. I felt like Neville said. He goes, one day you're going to feel called to do this, and it was like I kept feeling the calling after like the first or second time I manifested, or so it was like a year earlier than I did. I actually coming up on the 1 year anniversary of the channel,
Hmm.
in a couple weeks, and I like Neville said, you feel called to do it, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I let me just tell my story. I'm not trying to do it as a coach or anything. Just tell it, put it out there. I don't really want my face associated with this because friends and family. But it's like then you start to embrace it more, and then like once you're down that path, you can't get out of it. But everybody
Yeah,
else, like you see the coaches who do know their shit and they are good at what they do, making a lot of money. Everybody else says, I'm just gonna go. What did they say? Oh. And then, but they don't
yeah,
understand. So they're like half listening, and because you've never experienced it, like Neville said, the only way to understand it is to do it and experience it.
yeah, definitely. And yeah, I mean, the thing is, manifestation is there's so many different theories. It's like the law of assumption, and there's the law of attraction. There's people who believe in states and like the world's a mirror. There's other people who believe that we're energetical beings and vibrational beings. And
Yeah,
there's so many different theories of manifesting. So there's going to be so much variety of content on the internet. It's going to confuse people. And some of it's good, some of the advice is accurate, but some of it is just flat out wrong.
yeah, exactly. Once I see, you're not late inked. You were actually exactly on time. Inked is kind of like the channel moderator. She was the one who convinced me to stay around a long time ago. I was going to get off
Nice.
the channel when I first made it,
That's good.
and um, and she says you You look amazing, you too. Well, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And yes, we are. You made it right on time, and I'm sure. Well, I mean, I already leave them up, so whatever you missed, it was really nothing much. It says since you missed it, this is the second man, aka Neville Goddard, aka the second
Nice to meet you.
man, and we just went over what got him into manifesting and breakthroughs and a lot of stuff that we've already covered since you've been here since the beginning of the channel. But let's see. So I've gone over the misconceptions. Um, One of my favorite topics is circumstances don't matter, and it's like currently in my life, I'm facing a thing where it's like these circumstances sound absolutely horrible, but I've
Uh,
situations where I've had way worse situations stacked against me,
mm,
but I wasn't so attached to the outcome at the time, and it's like okay, boom,
yeah.
like circumstances don't matter.
Mm.
Have you had any like crazy stories that you've personally like had where it's like I'm just the odds are so against me, I'm out of it, or like a client, or I know you don't really do clients, but like someone
Yeah.
for advice tell you something?
Well, I mean, there's lots of interesting stories of circumstance don't matter. I'll tell you one. So this wasn't a big circumstance, but it was a 180. So I had this friend, and he kind of believes in manifesting. I spoke to him a lot about it, but he messaged me. He was like, "Yeah, I don't really believe in manifesting. I think if you really believe in this stuff, it's going to be a hard shock for you in the future when you realize it's not real and everything." And I was like, you know what, I'm going to test something out. And I know it's happening to the outcome because I don't really care if he cares about manifesting or not. It's not my life. But I just imagined that he comes to me saying, I was so wrong. Manifesting is completely real. And, even though I didn't speak to him for like a month up to this point. And
Yeah,
maybe a couple of days after I imagined this, he did message me. And he was like, oh, I do think manifesting is really real. I'm so sorry. And I was like, oh, yeah, yeah. I know that I created his change of opinion. And
yeah,
then literally a few months later, he messaged me again saying, oh my God, everything I imagined, like what he imagines, comes true. I can't believe this is real. He actually unfollowed me on my Instagram for manifesting and then re-followed me again afterwards. It just shows like someone's literally saying the exact opposite. I imagined that they've changed their mind, and then within days they've changed their mind. So it does show the circumstances are fleeting.
yeah. And it's like, I mean, obviously, like everyone who's followed the channel knows about my stuff with SP, where she's changed her mind on things, even when it's so set in like I will never see you again, and this is
Yeah,
it. Or like at my previous job, which I've mentioned the story before, where the boss didn't like me, and it was an assumption I had when he took over as boss. I'm like, he's not going to want me to, do
yeah,
well like that. So, and then it came out as I don't want you. I didn't want to hire you. I didn't want you here, and then you're never going to get promoted. And I had the thought play through my head once, and it took months to play out because of the circumstances. But I was smiling the whole time, watching them all unfold, which
mm,
was um, I was supposed to be promoted to a better shift, and nobody wanted the shift I was on. And
yeah,
okay, well, how am I going to get out of this? I'm like, well, it's like Neville in the army. You've appealed, and it was denied. How do I
mm,
go forward? Okay, well, what am I going to do? I just visualized him saying, okay, you're coming to days, and that was the shift I wanted. So he kept telling me that in my imagination. But then they hire his friend, and I'm
yeah,
like, and it's his close friend he grew up with. There's no way he's getting rid of him. Within 2 weeks, that guy comes to me and goes, "Hey, I'm going to be rolling out of here in a little bit.
mm,
You're going to get your position." I'm like, "Sweet." And then after that, I'm like, "So now can I go to days and make another appeal?" But because I still didn't
yeah,
fully believe it. I'm trying to force the 3D instead of just sitting back and
yeah.
like my vision was him coming to me. But I
Mm,
asked, and then he's like, "No." They hire another guy. That guy just keeps messing things up, and right before his 90 days, gets fired. And in a company that's never fired anybody, even people who really deserved it, they wind up firing
mm.
this. Like, man, whether it takes one man or a million, they will all play their part. And
Yeah,
then
that's very true.
they wind up getting another guy, and they're like, "Nick, you're going to get the position." And then I was like, "Yes," I felt good, and it was going to happen like in 2 weeks. But I started fearing it wouldn't happen, and then I got into a fight with the boss, and then I started visualizing more fights with him, and everything kept getting pushed back, pushed back, pushed back. And I'm like, "Why am I limiting myself? The shift I want is daytime. I can do anything I want." And then I wound up getting a
Mm,
call from a place that's right up the street and had all the perks that my other job had with less work, and it was a
mm.
better opportunity. But it took almost a year to manifest, probably in total. But
Yeah.
just crazy how it wound up working out.
Yeah, there's so many stories you see on the internet, especially with SP, because that's obviously a very popular topic. But if you really do read some of the stories online, I can't remember because I've read so many in the past. But like there are just some crazy ones when and obviously you've experienced it when someone says, "Oh, we're nothing to do with you," all this stuff, and then literally you're in the worst circumstances, and then you see the shift, you see all the bad circumstances break down, and you
Yeah,
get your desired outcome. So it really does show like circumstances are fleeting. Like
yeah,
circumstances do not matter.
yeah. It's like you could be shut out by the world. Like I tell everybody, it's like I was blocked, told I don't want to see you. Third party was posted all over online saying I love you. I was never told I love you. All this stuff, and I started embracing that feeling, and this is why sometimes it will take longer than. I'm not saying that it can't happen in 2 weeks. I'm not saying it needs to happen in 2 weeks, but usually buckling down, affirming it happens quickly. It will happen within like 2 weeks, but it would take longer because 3D has rocked your world, and until you get like even at the state where I am now, it's like still you get rocked, and it's like hold on, let me gain my bearings and step back, get off social media, and just go in the mind, and then
Yeah.
you have to spend usually a little bit of time doing that, then self concept, then putting your life in order the way it needs to be. And it's not saying you have to do all these things because I've manifested SP back and I knew when she came back, I'm not ready for this. In my mind, I said, I'm not ready. I haven't done the work on myself
Mm.
because it was unsustainable if I didn't believe in myself. One little thing will do that. And that's what we're going to talk about self concept a lot too. Because we just,
That's very true. Like you hear many people they get their especially the lottery. Many people win the lottery and they lose it. Like it's crazy how many people win the lottery and actually lose it. And
yeah,
that is all self-concept. Like many people, and another YouTuber said this, but it's very true. Like you can manifest something over and over again, but sometimes the bad thing and bad things happening in your life is just the symptom of your self-concept and you as a person. So you can like put a plaster, manifest something, but you're just like it's like taking painkillers. In the end, those painkillers are going to wear off. Like manifest, you can manifest something, but if your self concept's bad and you have lots of bad beliefs in your mind, it's gonna success is going to be fleeting.
yeah, exactly. And that's what I've experienced myself too. It's like you build up a really good self concept, but until you ingrain it, like especially for, I mean, I learned this from a psychologist, and I think we talked about him too, is Jordan Peterson,
Oh
where
yeah,
he says it's amazing how many people have never heard a kind word in their life. So many of us are raised on horrible self concepts.
mm,
We are ingrained with that. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done on
yeah.
first because you could see something and then when you get it now from the inner world and that being the prize and your manifestation always being with you, you now have something and it's like, oh, I got the trophy, but what if someone takes, what if someone's gonna get it and
Oh
then it
yeah.
goes away? The tighter you hold on to something, the more you lose it.
It's very true. Like many people say, successful people say, like you can get the money, you can get your big business to be one of the biggest businesses ever. You can get fame, you get all these things. You have to keep it. It's like working out. Like if you get your perfect body, you can't
Yeah,
be like, I'm never going to work out again. I've got my perfect body. You're going to go out of shape. But the same with manifesting. You've got to keep on doing the work, even once you get your desire. And that's what manifesting is a lifestyle. It's not like you do manifesting once to get your desire. It needs to be. It's like working out. It's just working out on your mind.
yeah. No, that's a great analogy, and that's one that I'll use with people a lot of times because that's like the background I came from was like acting. Well, like besides the acting stuff, it was like the sports background and working out, and it was like if you want to get ahead of everyone, it's like it's very easy to wake up and do that stuff because it's like you don't have to really condition your mind. It's like it's hard to drag yourself to the gym and put your body through pain, but it's like
Mm,
when you're in your mind, I don't know. Sometimes like that's a greater battle than like I'd rather beat my
mm,
body down all day in the gym than do this inner work sometimes. But
yeah.
once you hit it, it's the same thing as the gym. Once you've done it for like a week or 2 or 3, it's now consistently, and you've fought through the major battles and the major pain,
Mm.
stress. Okay, now it's easier. Everything you can move forward from there a lot nicer.
Yeah, like Neville Goddard said, like manifesting or imagining also, it's like a muscle, it's like a skill, and it takes growth. And it's even manifesting, like it's going to be easier to gradually build up than just go for the biggest desire you have. I'm not saying you can't
Yeah,
manifest your biggest desire as a beginner. Lots of beginners have, but
yeah,
like it is a muscle. The only manifesting is it's a lifestyle that you have to keep on doing every day, which will become into habits.
exactly. And it was like for me, I think as a beginner, technically, like I'm 26 now. I learned manifesting when I was 16 through The Secret, but
Yeah,
it was think positive, positive things happen. You stay on it, you're off it, you're on it, you're off it. And then let me see, because people are skeptic until they prove me on coincidence. Yep, I
Yeah,
would.
absolutely. I mean, the amount of people I've like told or tried to tell about manifesting, and they're like, "Oh, but it's a coincidence. I don't really think it's a coincidence," and your brain is just trying to like make this up. But the thing is, it's until you prove it yourself over and over again from your own point of view, and even like the amount of manifestations I've had, and obviously you've had, the odds of all these things happening would be like 1 in a billion, 1 in a trillion. So
Yeah,
if we are logically thinking here, it would be more logical to think that it's not a coincidence than think it's the 1 in a billion chance that it is all a coincidence. So
yeah,
that's absolutely true for that person.
yeah, exactly. It's like, and Neville did talk about that too. He goes, they'll ask you to prove it again and again because
Mm,
they think it's coincidence, and because it happens so naturally. The bridge of events makes it so naturally where it's like if you break it
yeah,
down. I told this story last night. We actually like because last night I went live randomly just because I felt inspired to, and
yeah, nice.
there was the guy who I went live with before, Tone from Goddard Manifesting. He came in the chat, and we started talking, and it was funny. A woman in his chat, and my friend actually who's involved in this story just texted me right now. It's his birthday today, and um, she was in his chat, and I was driving, watching his chat, and I was going
Yeah,
through stuff with SP, trying to think, okay, how do I get out of these circumstances? I'm letting 3D beat me down. So I go on Tone's thing. Sometimes I watch other coaches to get myself toned up too. So I throw it on, and then I happen to look down, and somebody said, "Yo, what the fuck is blank talking about?" And I recognized the name blank, what her name was. So I click it, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I remember this girl mentioning she wanted to manifest my best friend. That's crazy." And then um, and then I felt naturally to just tell them, I'm like, hey, guess what? Just a heads up, someone's trying to manifest you, and it's that person. Hey, Carrie, thank you. Um,
thank you.
so I was like, hey, someone's trying to manifest you, bro, and just to give you a heads up. And then he said,
Mm,
who? But then I realized the whole bridge of events it happened so naturally. It was like a year-long
yeah,
process for her, but Tone had to go through his whole process with his SP to start a channel. I had to go through mine to start a channel. I had
yeah,
to not quit the channel, like where Ink came to me and going because she was going through her stuff to convince me not to quit the channel. And then I keep pushing, and then I meet him to do a collab, and then we
mm,
start talking regularly. And then I just happen to click on his live that day, being live at that same time where I'm going through something to
yeah,
and naturally tell my friend about this funny story, and they wound up in communication. And I said, "Wow, that's like the ultimate law of,
yeah,
law of assumption because it happened so naturally. People would have been like,
yeah.
well, it's just you happen to be on there at the same time, but you break it all
Yeah,
the way."
that's another thing. It's like in Neville's book, he actually said, I can't remember the exact story. It's in one of his books. You'll be able to find it. But he was saying to some, I think it was a theatre owner, he was saying, he told about manifesting, and this guy didn't believe it. So he said, oh, if manifesting's real, you're going to like buy this theatre off me. And then he bought the theatre, and, then the guy said, oh, that was a coincidence. You have to like, do a big show. And they did a big show. It's like, oh, that's a coincidence. If it was all real, you'll do this and buy this other theatre. And they never bought that theatre. It's like, I don't know, it's along the lines there. But he did like these 5 big manifestations or 6 until this guy's like, oh, maybe it's real. Like, even though you get a couple of successes, people will think it's coincidence. And even to yourself, the bridge is so natural. You can even trick yourself into believing it's coincidence at times until you sit down and realize that it wasn't.
Yeah, that's where I mean the first time I manifested the SP back, and I was like, let me just test the law on this. I'm like, because I was not in love with my SP at the time, but we were
Yeah,
just kind of friends with benefits. But I really was enjoying her company, and I was like, you know what? I mean, this girl kind of blocked me, but not fully blocked me. I wonder where she is now, like what she's up to. I'm like, no, let me just test out this law, like, see if it works. Within a week or two, she came back, like as if
yeah,
nothing happened. Well, no, she didn't come back. I wound up going to the gym. She had a crazy schedule, and I was going to the gym consistently at my same time, focused on me. But I was just,
mm,
wouldn't it be wonderful if it would be cool if I see her again?
mm,
Go to the gym that one day. She happens to be there. We run into each
yeah,
other, and we started talking again, and it was like, hey, do you want to go out this weekend? And boom, okay, we go out that weekend, and things pick up
yeah,
right where we left off. And I was like, well, that could just be a coincidence because I always go to the gym at that time, and sometimes, rarely, but sometimes
yeah,
I go there. But why did it happen within 2 weeks when I haven't seen her there in like a while, even when we're seeing each other. Let's see. Yeah, testing the law is so much. Nick,
Yeah, testing is important. Yeah,
oh yeah,
because
that
it will feel like coincidence at times. Definitely, like especially like the thing is, you realize it's not coincidence when you get the result so many times. It's not the bridge, because the bridge will always be like a coincidence, it'll be natural. But it's when you literally sit down thinking, I want to manifest all these things to test it out. I have manifested all these things. There's something going on here. Maybe it's real. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
that's why it's like when it breaks down, it's like the circumstances don't matter. Like Ink just brought it up right now. We had a recent success story with Inked because I'm not. I think the wedding happened in May, but maybe it was like late March, early April. I was at work at my one job, and Inked messaged me, and her daughter told her that she was not invited to her wedding, and
Mm.
she said and there was like she was adamant about it. She's not invited to her wedding. Ink was in tears and upset, and I understandably I said, but I was like at the same time in a not so mean way, but almost excited, like a smile was formed on my face. I'm like, because guess what? This is time for the law, and just like
Yeah.
for me with my recent circumstances, she's like, hey, well, guess what? It's a test, and I'm like, yeah, but you got to have no pressure on you either. Like my thing was like I was pressured by the channel because I felt like I had to do this event, this thing. So I forced. What did Ink do? She sat back. She imagined. She did some intentions, and I don't remember the exact time, Ink, but I remember being within a few weeks. And you sat at the wedding, and everything happened. And I remember visualizing for you real quick, like, and that's all I did was one quick visualization. Like Neville said, it takes 2 minutes to visualize on behalf of another.
Mhm.
She did her stuff, and then next thing I know, she's like, I'm at the wedding.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Testing. Ironically, when you just test manifesting, just to test it out with no pressure of the outcome, that's how you manifest the best. And Neville does say it. He says, "Don't put so much pressure on it. Do it for fun." And yeah, testing it. When I test manifesting just for a test, not trying to be really good at it, not trying to be the best manifester ever, or trying to get these things. I'm like, I'll just test it out, see if it works. You get the best results that way, ironically.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that's one of the things where it's like when there's like you said, it's no pressure because like even Neville talked about that. It was like when there's pressure on it, it's like something
Mm,
needs to happen, and now you're constantly I need this to happen, so you're always going to be getting I need this to happen, I need this to happen because
yep.
we're not praying to God. God lives within us, so it's like okay, God's going to give you what you want, and that's where I will say, like Neville said, the states never change. You jump in and out of states, and last night's live was about the states where I
Mm,
took a road trip this weekend to visit my friend 3 hours away. That's a different city. It's a small little city, different feel, different vibe to it. So it's like use that as an example of depression and not having your desire. Okay, you take a little trip there. It's cool. You can sit there for a little bit, feel that emotion. Now you got to get back in your car and drive back to where you are and be in this state of success, having, feeling. And it's like, if there's certain things I want, what am I going to do? Usually, when we don't get what we want, we'll go on self destructive behaviors, which is going to that other state or city, which remains the same. We take a detour there, and before you know it, you can wind up moving in that city where it's like bad habits take over and you don't do things. It's like, well, if I have all my desires, what would I do? I'd still be coaching. I'd still be going to my job. I'd still be going to the gym. I'd still be living my life,
mm,
just this one part's not here, but it's easier to imagine something into your life if everything else is normal in your life. But when you change everything, it's just like everything has been changed now.
yeah. But no, that's very true states. Like, Neville says, like, someone asked him, "Oh, what do I do from this state I don't like?" Just change states. Just change states.
Yeah,
And you have all the states in your mind. Like, you have an infinite amount of states. You are keeping yourself in the states. Oh, I want to change state, but no, but change state.
yep,
Change state. And that is very true. And that's a skill, obviously, take practice. And, but he does say someone who masters the ability to just change states whenever they want freely, you're going to master your life. And that is good. That's a really good point.
yeah. And it's hard, like it's like you said, it's easier said than done because it's like
Mm,
well, people say, well, I'm so depressed, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. It's like, remember, you're feeling. Feeling is the secret. How would it
yeah.
feel? This? And actually, when I was kind of raw and honest in my live last night, people who I've helped, Dion, I don't know if he's here today, he was like, what would happen if your circumstances were the way you want? Describe it to us. So go in the future. And I'm like, that's the actual technique too. Go to the future. And one of my
Yeah.
manifestations is, or like
Absolutely.
I'm working on, I'm visualizing my in the end state is making a video. Already saw the title, the thumbnail, the smile on my face, how I feel making that video, and then everyone's response to it. And so if you're a creator like us, you could kind of use our position to help ourselves. Where it's like, well, if I was successful, I was going to make a video on this topic.
Yeah,
So
that's true. With the future, that's very true. Like, imagine, literally put yourself mentally in the future. How do you feel? How do you think? But truly do it. Like, yeah, that's a very good technique.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and
That's the technique I do a lot. Like, sometimes I literally just close my eyes and literally put myself mentally into the future. I literally I make the future into the present moment. Like, right now, if I was to manifest doing a live stream with you or doing this exact video, what I could do is, let's say a week ago, I want to do a live with you. What I would do is I'll close my eyes and I would try as hard as I could and to put myself mentally where I am right now doing this video with you. Absolutely.
yeah, and
Well, really, it would be after this video because I wouldn't think that it would be a bit hard to do while I'm talking to you and imagine I'm talking to you. But when this live stream ends and I do whatever I do, I'm just sitting down. The moment this live stream ends, if I want to manifest this live stream, I would try and recreate how I would feel the moment this live stream ends a week before.
yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like I addressed this too in the live stream yesterday, where it was like, if I want, like you just said, imagine what would happen right after. So it's like sometimes it's like, okay, well, in acting terms, we're the writer, actor, director, and producer of our own film, and that was Neville's terms. And it's like,
Yeah.
so as the writer, I've written everything to where I am now, and I'm maybe not that happy, or the producer part of me is not that happy with the script. I need to change it. So I'm just going to write the end, but I got a ghostwriter, God in the universe. They'll come in and
Yeah.
they'll write the middle. I'm just writing the end, and that's my editor, and he'll come in, edit all that. So it's like, because my self concept is good and I visualize the end of it, the natural part is going to be that, oh, the live goes perfect. We had a great time, we made a huge impact, and things went great.
Yeah,
And
that's really true. It was a lecture, I think it was called. It was called the Four Horsemen, I think. You can find out. But Neville did say there's four. You play all four roles. You play the producer, the director, the actor, and the writer. The producer is like your inner god, and like obviously with movies, like producers go to directors and say, "I want you to produce this movie." Like the studio wants so movie to be made. It's like your inner god wants the producer, your inner god wants you to have a certain desire. Now, the director is your attention. You have to direct your attention to what you want. And the writer would you plan the scene, what the end result, what you want. Could be you sitting at home with a bunch of money. If I wanted to manifest this live stream, yeah, let's use this live stream example. And the producer, my inner God inside of me, would want me to do a live stream with you. So then the writer would write the end scene, what I would imagine would be me sitting on my sofa after this live stream. And I have to direct my mind to focus on that end result. So I have to become the actor and, as actors do, really feel truthfully what it would be like at that present moment. It's really interesting. I recommend everyone go read that. You can find it, but yeah, that part never was that work.
yeah, that's like a thing I've kind of started on the channel too. And I know you've talked about this too. And while I've seen you, like, you'll share Neville's quotes, and it's like sometimes he has so many quotes. I left the book in my trunk because I usually carry Neville's book with me everywhere. I keep it in my gym bag, so I go to work with it. And if I'm got downtime, pull that instead of going on social media, pull that out. Or it's like you're at the gym and you're having a bad workout or something, maybe just crack it open real quick, pull up, like, every page of that's gold. So it's like you pull open something, but that's the great thing about your Instagram channel is you drop Neville quotes all day, and it's like stuff like that. That story where the actor, writer, and director. It's like I know that lecture because for 4 years at my last job where I was really unhappy, it's like I was listening, so I heard all Neville's lectures every day for 8 hours a day. I listen, and I'm like, all right, I got it. But then eventually you're just listening, and it's eventually time to stop being the student and be the teacher and the master and just go out and do it. And I did. Then my life started turning around. But another thing is too, sometimes things seem like they blow up in your face. Like, if you've seen this before too, it's like the bridge might look really ugly before it unfolds. Yeah,
Absolutely. Like many people say, and we spoke about this earlier, but many people say that sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. Now, I believe that could be a limiting belief. I don't advise everyone to think that.
yeah,
But we do see a lot of stories where, even in my own life, it's like, it seems like things get worse before they get better. It is crazy. I don't know why that is. You know, like, who knows? Who knows why? But the bridge can be messy. It can definitely be messy. And Neville does say, and this is one of my favourite quotes or parts he said. He said, imagine like the bridge can be messy, but imagine you're watching a movie and you've seen the end. You've seen the end result of the movie. The hero is all alive and happy, but they're in a position in the middle of the movie where they're literally surrounded by enemies. There is no way out. You
Yeah,
know they're going to get out because you've seen the end of the movie, and that's the same with real life. You kind of, have to realize these are it could be a bridge. Bad things could happen to lead you to better things. I've definitely had in my own life. When I was at university and I studied acting, and I had to make a short movie. It was my main big project. You have to make like a 10-minute short movie, 15-minute short movie.
yeah,
And it was a month until it was due, and it was just going all wrong. And I was like, I can't find the actors to do it. I can't do anything. And I was like, I'd never been so panicked about a school project or university project. But that pressure caused me to take action, which I wasn't a big fan of. But I was like, I
yeah,
have to do some action. I can't just sit here. And then I decided to reach out to all the actors I want, and the bridge from then on was just quite smooth. But
yeah,
if it wasn't for those negative situations, the thing is, my point of view in that time, my perception was, I'm just going to imagine that I've created the best short film I can, and all these actors are going to come to me and saying, audition is the audition, they're going to come to me. No actors really came to me that I wanted. I was like, well, is this just the bridge is going bad? No, I have to do some action and reach out to actors I want. And I would have done that if I wasn't stuck in that bad position. And I got all the actors I wanted, and it's good. So, absolutely, bad things can lead you to do good things.
yeah. And it's like, because at the end of the day, too, it's something I've said before is everything is how you perceive it. Your perception creates your reality, too.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's only a bad thing to you. Like if I'm not an actor, say I'm another university student with you and I'm in business class or whatever, and I see you stressing about that, that has no impact on me. It's like I have business and numbers. That's not important. So it means nothing to them, but to you, it's like your whole world is crumbling because you need to
Mm-hmm.
get it done. And when you release the importance from it, and it's like even though you use that pressure, like right now you're in the pressure cooker, and you go and it's like I would like you said, you reach out to all the actors, and it's like, and you wind up getting them. It's like I've done that before too, where it's like I don't think I'm going to get this actor, but I have no other choice because I need.
Yeah,
I first
absolutely.
I was like I need this person. Then I started fearing, what if he doesn't show up? He lived over an hour away, and his car broke down. He had a motorcycle only, and it was winter time. And I'm like, can we pick him up? And it was like me and my best friend, and he was a go big or go home guy and in the terms of movies and making short films, and we were aiming to make a 10 to 15-minute short film as well. I said, well, let's just do something where it's not a period piece because that's going to cost too much money. He's like, what if it's a war film? Oh, that's the same thing. So we were
Yeah,
going with that because I could never tell my friend no. We ended up going from there. Wow, there's a blue jay just landed on the tree. That's like a good sign. More positivity for us. He's like, all right, let's just do this. I'm like, man, this is not going to work. It's not going to work. And for a while, everything's going bad, going bad. We can't get an actor. We sat this girl down like to play the female lead role, and she's in. She gets called away to Hollywood. She actually started like making her way out there, and it's like, well, I'm not going to be sour. Good for her. Like, but it's like, what do we do now? And it's like, okay, what if we just eliminate the female role and just like find a girl to do the voiceover in the background, or just like have a guy narrate what it was like, or like close his eyes and visual. Okay, we made all these adaptations to the film, and in the end, we wound up getting we wound up making our 10 to 15 minute short film. Forgot what it was, but the one actor he wound up quitting. We found a way around that. We found a way to make it where it wasn't actually bad. We got a lot of compliments on it, but it didn't blow up. It's like, man, we're supposed to get a lot of views on this. My friend
yeah,
went stuff in his personal life where he wound up posting on some social media, and a group of people didn't like him and they wanted to make fun of him. Well, they wound up finding him on my YouTube page, shared my page, and blew up all the videos and short films and stuff just to make fun of him. But they were getting views, so it's like, and then
yeah, it worked.
so through that ugliness that he went through, and I subsequently went through too, because I made a video where people were like, where I was auditioning to play young Tony Soprano, and
Mm.
15,000 views. I'm like, we got 15,000. You go through the comments, fuck you, fuck you. I was like, oh my god, but hey, we got 15,000 views. So
Yeah,
like those ugly things lead to sometimes the most beautiful things, and
yeah,
our fun memory, and where you can look back on it and laugh at it.
yeah. And that's another thing. With this movie, so I had to have. I was acting in it, But I had to have 3 other actors, and
Yeah.
I got 2 of them. My first picks who I wanted to act in my movie. I literally wrote a list of everyone I could hire, at my university. I was like, these are the 2 top people I want to be in it, and I got them. And then I needed 1 more actress for a really important scene. It was like a really emotional, hard scene to do. So I
Yeah.
wrote a list of all the actresses I want to do this scene. And literally all of them said no. Like, all of them were like, no, I don't want to do it. I'm busy. I was like, oh, and I thought this is one girl who I've never acted with before. I don't even know if she's that good. You know, she's a good friend of mine, but I don't know if it's suitable for her. So I reached out to her. I was like, can you please just be in this movie? You know, I'm really desperate. And she's like, yeah, I'll be in it, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it turned out to be the best person I could choose. I could not have literally picked a better actress. Like, you know, she did
Yeah.
everything perfectly. She was 10 times better than any of the other ones would have been if I got them. So, yeah, you could look at that saying, oh, all the actresses I wanted to be in this role are rejecting it. So what am I going to do? But I've already created the end in my mind. And I wasn't even that positive about it, but it was the end result of me creating a good movie was in my subconscious mind. And I had to reach out to this actress because I had no other choice.
Yeah.
And because of circumstances, and it turned out to be the best actress I could have chosen for the role. So absolutely bad things can happen to push you towards the intended outcome.
And once again, whether it takes 1 man or a million, or in this case, 1 woman or a million women to play their part, they will
Yeah,
their part naturally to give you what you're looking for. I did
yeah,
see
absolutely.
one comment come up that we didn't have written down, but I think Inked answered it already. What do you think about robotic affirmations, which I know Inked has done those and had a lot of success?
Mm.
What do you
Mm,
what do you do?
I'm very mixed with it. I'm 50-50 with it. That's a tough one because I've tried in the past. I've seen some results. I'll tell you my honest opinion about it. I'm not saying that they don't work. I know Sammy Ingram,
Yeah,
not personally, but
yeah,
she's a huge. Everyone knows her. She's like one of the biggest manifesting YouTubers out there. I've
yeah,
seen a few of her videos, and she preaches robotic affirmation. Like every video she does, do a robotic affirmation. Um, Neville does say, like he does say, I'm really 50-50, but Neville says himself, just saying the word is not going to manifest it, but then repeating it over and over again could manifest it. But then when I do robotic affirmations, I've tried it. I'm not a big fan of it because I feel like I'm doing these affirmations to push something out in the world.
yeah,
I'd rather just close my eyes and imagine I'm at the end. I wouldn't be robotically affirming if
yeah,
I'm not going to, when I end this live stream, when the live stream ends, I'm not going to be sitting on the sofa thinking, oh, I did live streams, they were missing. I did live streams, you know, I'm not going to be thinking like robotically. So I think it depends on the person. I think it works for some it's not the best approach. What do you think about it?
For me, I'm roughly in the same boat as you, but I can't discredit it because I know it works for people like Sammy for Inked,
Mm,
or it's like I always say, it's like a workout plan. It's not the same for everybody, or a
yeah.
diet same for everyone. They work for everybody different. Um, for me, I go by what Neville said in the book, where I actually did a video where I read it out by a park with the leaves falling and stuff, tried to make it very cinematic. And I was reading about, he goes, they're about vain repetition of the same. I can't directly remember the quote, but it's basically you kind of feel like you're lying to yourself. So for me, I always felt like I was lying to myself with it. And I'm like, I feel more like I'm lying, but going like from writing from an early age and doing acting and stuff like that, it was very easy for me to picture a scene where I would just jump into a scene of
Mm,
SP looking me in the eyes and saying whatever I want to hear, holding her close. And the more relaxed you are, taking deep breaths, where you almost like make your hands and feet numb and stuff, you could sometimes feel like her hair against your body or something like that, or
yeah.
how you would feel like even when think about in a negative situation too, like how many times you have arguments, mental arguments with people, and it's like sometimes they get so vivid, like your legs are shaking a little bit, like it's
Oh my god.
and that plays out exactly that way too. So good, bad, or
That
indifferent, the universe doesn't judge. God doesn't judge.
there's a story I have about that. So this was before I discovered manifesting, because I would not do this if I knew manifesting. This was the perfect manifestation, but it was a bad one. So
Yeah,
maybe like a year before I discovered manifesting, there was this girl, she kind of broke my heart. It hurts, you know, but obviously at that time I didn't know anything about manifesting, so I didn't know that it was all my fault, really, you know.
yeah,
So I'm there, and for like months, I'm just so salty about it, and I'm there like arguing with this woman in my mind over literally having like really detailed arguments in my mind, And I spoke to her like months after these immense arguments in my mind, and we ended up arguing, provoked by her. I was trying to be nice. I was over it. Yeah, that's the thing. I argued for months with her in my mind, but I kind of forgot about it. I didn't, I moved on. So I
Yeah,
tried to reach out to her, and she provoked some massive arguments, and then we had a massive argument. It was massive, and then months later, when I discovered a manifest, and I was like, that was probably the best manifestation I've ever done. Just it was in the wrong direction. It was bad.
yeah,
But no, that's yeah. The amount of mental arguments. Neville's made a video. I made a video of this myself. It was one it was the second video I've ever made. Literally, when you argue with people in your mind, you're perfectly setting up a future argument. And I know from personal experience that is so true.
yeah. And I had this thought actually this morning when I woke up and I was getting ready. I was like, if things could be turned around negatively that fast, like you see how quick things change. The only thing in life is that everything's constantly changing. But what else is constantly changing? The opinions and thoughts of the observer are constantly changing. So
Yeah.
um, I'm like, if things could go, and I made a video on this before too, because a couple months back, me and SP almost broke up because I was thinking about like one thing that really bothered me about her, and I kept thinking about it, fighting in my head, and then like she
Yeah.
started like having like certain attitudes about stuff. I'm like, "Are you good? Are you good?" And then it would lead into a fight. We have this big fight, and then we don't talk for like a week or so, and then she always was saying, "I'm not going to meet your friends or your family or anything." Almost like I'm like, well, that means that we're not going to be together for long. And
Yeah.
the next day after that, I started looking for houses because I thought I was going to lose the condo I'm in now, which was another manifestation. I manifested a free place to live, which then eventually I almost lost it. And I'm like, I don't care if I have to pay for it. Sometimes you shouldn't do stuff like that. But I'm like, I was panicked. I'm like, I don't care if I have to pay. My rent wound up going up. But I'm like, cool, whatever. I'll just stay here. But at the time, I was also looking for houses. I was in panic mode. And I sent her a nice message, kind of apologizing. And I'm like, I don't think she's going to respond in my logical mind. But I'm like, I did a wouldn't it be wonderful if. So I was like sending her a message, and she called me. Um, and she goes, "Well, what you said you're going to look at a house today? I would have never thought of her doing that." And I already scheduled to
Mm.
go and brother to look at this house. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on the way." I called to cancel with them because I know she doesn't want to meet my family, and I don't want her to think I set this up. So I'm like, "Hey, don't
Mm.
show up, don't show up." And she's already right around the corner coming onto the block as I see them pulling up onto this block. I'm like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, and they're like, "Oh, is Lily with you?" I'm like, "Oh shit." So I'm like, yeah, she's here. And I told her, and I'm like, she goes, I could just turn around and go back to the gym. I'm like, no, it's fine. I mean, they'll just do their own thing. So then she wound up meeting my dad and brother. But she goes, I was always going to meet your mom first. And we go inside the house. My mom's still at work or whatever. She knew that we were touring, and she asked which one we were at. She goes, oh, one looks nice. Finish the tour. We come outside, and then my dad's like, I want to look at something in the back. So me and him go in the back and talk. My brother's talking with SP. I come back outside, and it starts raining a little bit, and we just want to get all of us are engaged in this good conversation with the salesman. He's a real nice guy. As we're getting ready to go, my mom pulls up. She left work early to see.
Oh no.
She meets my SP, and then wound up being a very emotional thing. And me and her had a great reconnection. But I'm like, in a week from we're pretty much done to this, which is why I always say circumstances don't matter. But it's like just watching where your mind goes and certain things and the fights.
Oh yeah. Like Neville said in one of his lectures, I don't know what it's called. He said a woman went up to him and was like saying, "Oh yeah, I always argue with my boss. I always have an argument with him. He always argues with me." And Neville says, "I guarantee that you argue with him hours after you've argued with him in person. You argue with him in person, but you keep arguing with him in your mind. It's like, yeah, I do that." He's
Yeah,
like, "Stop doing that and do the opposite." And the story is that the boss changed his attitude, and they actually ended up becoming quite good friends.
yeah,
Like in the end. It's absolutely true. It's one
that
of
was,
the best ways to manifest negatively is because it's fun to argue in your mind. Neville says it, it's fun.
yeah,
I used to enjoy it. But it is one of the best ways to cause conflict in your life. Absolutely.
yeah. No, that one is definitely like that story that you're talking about. It inspired me because I was doing the same thing with this boss that nobody liked. And I used to jokingly say about this too. So with what I do, I work in the trades and stuff. So for the trades, you have to do 2 years as an apprentice, and then you get qualified to be a journeyman, but you have to usually leave the job site you're on and go somewhere else. So I was joking. I'm like, by the time and everyone would laugh because they're like, this guy's going nowhere. He had the job where he showed up in sweatpants, flip flops, and t-shirt. Never even put his uniform on. Like, was making a lot of money. More, was like one of the highest paid guys in the area. didn't do shit, watched TV all day, and would extort people for free shit. So I'm like, there's no way he's leaving. Everybody hated him. Everyone was like, oh, you're gonna have a hard life with him, blah blah blah. And me and him would fight all the time. I'd have all these arguments, would fight, and well, one day I take a week off, and I started imagining nicely about him and stuff like that. I'm like, as painful as it is, because he's an asshole. I'm like, what if he treated
Mm.
me differently? What if I'm like the one person who he's nice to? He wound up having a big blowout with everybody else on the job site where nobody was speaking to him. They all gave him the silent treatment. I came back. He was like my best friend. Hey, watch movies with me. Don't put your uniform on. Take a nap. Oh, cool. And then like we wound up actually becoming good friends to a degree. But when he left, and then he wound up leaving the job right when I got promoted. There was no jobs because it was COVID. So like there was no jobs, and I was like, well, I intend. Let me go back to my joke. I intend. I'm going to get this job, and he winds up getting a job 10 times better. It was something that got him to leave, and I wound up getting the job. And from there, it's like, man, all that stuff just stemmed from dropping the arguments.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've had friends in my life who have treated me very poorly, and I've managed to make them a lot nicer individuals towards me by just manifestation, you know. And I've seen it in my own life, and sometimes not instant. But there's one person I really despise. Like I actually generally, I think I hated him, and this wasn't even that long ago, really. But I just imagined because I knew, you know what, there's no point I hate him, and I might as well just imagine he's a really nice person. And
Yeah,
even though the change was not immediate, there was quite a few bad events. Even after I imagined, I kept on imagining. I've realised that over the last like year, maybe 6 months, the person has improved. Like they are a lot nicer, and there is a bit of a friendship there now. So it's crazy how you can actually make enemies into friends. It is very possible.
yeah. It's like when it's like the line "kill them with kindness." It's like even if you can't do it in the 3D, do it in your mind. And
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. You know, sometimes you can't do it in 3D. Like sometimes you will fail and argue them in 3D, but the 3D is not that important really. Just go back in your mind, imagine your friend is that person, or anything that implies the end you want, and yeah, you could definitely become friends with enemies. As hard as it is to believe, you
yeah,
really have to also bear in mind like this person is treating me bad because I believe that they're a bad person. They treat people bad. Like, you know, one person might treat you terribly, but might treat someone else absolutely amazingly. It's
yeah,
all down to your assumption and belief about that person. That's very hard to, it's one of the hardest manifestations to overcome when you truly dislike someone. But
yeah,
is it true? You know, you have caused all the bad people to do bad things to you in your own life. You're the creator of their bad behavior somewhat. So you need to kind of admit that, and if you want to make them nicer people towards you, manifest them. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. It's like that's one of the hardest things to do. But it's like with that again, once again, proves that the circumstances don't matter. Again, like all these things prove each other, and it's like there are no shitty people. It's just shitty assumptions, which
Oh, absolutely.
be ingrained in you right away by if you're not careful. Like I saw one where I started this new job recently, and there were like a lot of shitty assumptions and a vibe, like getting a bad vibe off this one guy, which I didn't really get it at first. I kind of got it, but more people reinforcing. It's like, okay, your thoughts do not, this is 3D trying to influence me. Only in here creates, not out here. Hold the assumptions off. You, like, if you're going to be a shitty guy, you do it to them, not me. Like,
Yeah.
everyone, what you accept from me. And so far, that's all that's played out. And I saw a little bit of it bleeding through when I started listening to all of them. And I was going through some fights with SP. And it's funny, one area of your life can affect other areas because if it takes you to that state of SP problems, take you to that negative state. And I think I mentioned this to you on the phone when I had like another girl who broke my heart and I couldn't figure out how to manifest her because I needed, I was trying. So you're
Yeah.
trying. And then that time, my mom almost died, my uncle almost died, my grandpa's house burned down, and he almost died all with it. And I'm like, and then
Yeah.
I took my pack. I'm like, okay, there's violent, bad stuff happening in the 3D
Yeah. Yeah.
family now because I'm dwelling and I love feeling good. And it was funny too because I had this weird thought in my head with when the girl broke up with me. I'm like, would she even care if I was in the hospital? And I kept picturing myself in the hospital texting her, but I'm like, I will never go to the hospital. I'm very careful, even though my job has potential to hurt you. It's like I'm not going to get hurt here. I've never been hurt here. Car
Yeah.
accident, I'm drive safe. I haven't been in an accident in years. I'll be fine. All this stuff. The last place I would have ever expected, the gym, which I've been doing for 10 years, or at that time,
Yeah.
I go there. lifting with my friend, and Game of Thrones reference. I was blasting the Rains of Castamere in my headphones as I lift, and then I
Good
hear
song. It's a good song.
it is. It's a great song. So I was like,
It is good.
and who are you? When I hear a pop, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound good. Go down to another rep. I'm like, something's off. I put the weight down, and I stand up, and I lift my arm, and I see something shoot into my arm. I'm like, oh, I flash back to every person who's done stupid stuff online lifting. I'm like, the one place I didn't picture myself getting hurt, but then I didn't go to the hospital. I'm like, I'm not going. I'm fine. My uncle's like a physical trainer, so he's like, yeah, just strained or whatever, because it didn't bruise up or anything. So I was like,
Yeah.
firm, fine. That's why I went into affirmations. I was like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Where I knew I was lying to myself, I remember pacing around. I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And he's like, I would go to the hospital if I were you. So I go there. I'm waiting, and I send her a text, and she's responding and talking to me. I'm like, well, I put myself in the hospital for
Yeah.
to get to talk to her. It's like, and you could have visualized a lot nicer opportunities. But then through there, I just got promoted at my job, so they had grounds to fire me if I was injured and I couldn't perform duties. So I
Mm.
could have got fired. I would have. I thought I was going to lose my range of motion, need surgery, and lose all my strength. I said, "This is where I prayed to the external God." I was like, "Please make it where I don't lose my job, where I don't get fired. I don't need surgery, and I don't lose any strength or flexibility." And the next day, the doctor called me, and I said, "Oh, I don't." And I said, "I don't care if there's a dent or whatever." Next day, a doctor calls me, gave me all those things, but there'll be a dent. And I'm like, why didn't I just ask for that to go away too?
Yeah.
Then I started affirming against that. This was like an affirmation success for me was nobody ever notices it. So only people in the gym who I bring it up to will notice it.
Yeah.
So in a way that it's weird sometimes how things play out, even though it's not exactly like you might still notice something wrong when you bring your attention to it, but because you affirmed or believe no one else notices something, they won't. But it's still
Yeah. I'm
well,
never going to listen to that song the same now, Rains of Castamere. When I hear that song next time, I'm just going to imagine, I'm not going to imagine it, but I'm just going to remember the time you told me about the gym. As soon as that goes like, who are you? I'm like, that's what happened.
yep, yeah,
You changed Game of Thrones
yeah,
forever for me.
yeah. That I was like, I was binge watching Game of Thrones too, and there's so much tragedy in that show, great drama.
Well,
I was like, there's so much tragedy happening to all the characters. I'm like, God, I'm literally the Hound. I'm literally this. I'm literally that character, and I'm like, I'm picking all these horrible, like, flawed characters to identify with now, and my life is becoming more and more flawed, and
I absolutely can relate to that. Absolutely. Because that's another thing. Most of the TV shows I watch aren't good for mental diet. I try not to associate with some characters. But
yep,
it is hard. Like there are times I think I'm not this character. I can't relate to him, and then similar things in my life happen. It's crazy how it works. It's crazy
yeah,
sometimes when I watch a TV show how it's like my life kind of knows it in a sense. Even the vibe. It's
yeah.
interesting.
It's like that was one of the things. I'm not going to lie. This is a little bit what scared me off acting when I got more into this and teaching it
Oh, absolutely.
was I was writing a short film while me and SP were like official. Things were good. We like things played out perfect. I was doing a little short film about overthinking, and it was intended to be positive, but I was really getting into this character, and it was
Oh yeah.
me. It was like because obviously it's hard to find actors, as you know, because of scheduling and stuff like that. It's like, no, I can't do like everyone's working a day job. They're all a waiter or waitress, whatever. Um, and no one is able to film. So I'm like, well, I'll just play both characters. So one's supposed to be like, and it works better too, because like the duality of man type thing. It's me driving the car. It's all in black and white. But then there's like a cool version of me who's laid back, like talking about, oh, you really think she's not cheating on you or seeing someone else? It's like no. And then what happened was she went back with her ex, and dumped me. And I was like, oh my god, like I got really into the character, and like we were focused on it. We were talking about the script every day, and it was only like break it down 2 weeks again. 2 weeks seems to be a weird number. Inked had her success in 2 weeks. I've got my SP back in 2 weeks most of the time, but lost an SP in 2 weeks too. So
Mm.
it's just funny. It's like that's what scared me off acting for a little bit because it's like I think that may have actually been the last real project I've worked on, other than like little like things where there's no meaning to the character. It's just kind of a cool little character all designed to do something. But
Yeah.
in the gym too, it's like being careful of like great shows. It's like I'll listen to Game of Thrones tributes. It's weird what I listen to in the gym, but I'll listen to movie tributes because I love
Oh yeah.
stuff. So I'm listening. It's like yeah, this action character, but another one is like um, I've never watched all the Peaky Blinders. I have to admit that
Oh, I love that show. That show is really good.
it's so good, but it's like every time I've tried to watch it, I share my Netflix account. So my dad will start watching it after I've started. I'm like, you've seen it 4 times, and I lose my track of the episodes, and I always get thrown off it. But I'll watch like the tributes, and it's like Tommy's such a flawed character, especially with relationships, and it's
Oh yeah,
like
that's the character you do not want to link with at all. No,
yeah, it's like for SP, don't
absolutely.
watch tributes.
No, that's absolutely true. I know. No, it's a great show. But I was thinking about acting. Like you hear stories about actors who really become their characters, and they do see manifest. Heath Ledger, as sad as it is,
Yeah,
and let's be dead honest. Like, he was absolutely fine that we know of before the Joker. He
yeah,
locked himself in a room and just became the Joker, and then he kind of lost his mind, which is very tragic. But you hear stories about it with lots of actors. I know Daniel Day-Lewis. He did. I think it was what's the film, Gangs of New York, maybe, or he did. I think Gangs of New York,
yeah.
and he actually got ill. He got like tuberculosis. It might be a different movie, but he got like tuberculosis from it. Like you do hear about actors manifesting circumstances that their characters are facing, and
It's
you've got to be careful with it. Yeah, I think you have to have a belief to protect you from that. But yeah,
because that's something I've always wanted to talk about. But it's like a lot of, that's why I wanted to work with you. It was Gangs in New York. What's up, Rocky? How you doing, brother? So it was Gangs in New York. I had a very similar experience with that too, where it's like, yeah, like I said, this whole thing's kind of scared me off acting because there was another actress, I forgot her name, and another manifesting channel mentioned this. She was playing a woman who lost her son, and I want to say it's Angelina Jolie, but I don't know. But like in the movie, she lost her son, and the whole movie is about grieving after losing your son. In real life, after the premiere, her son died, and I was like, holy
I
shit,
know.
and it would scare me. Like now, I'm very careful about the roles I pick or create for myself
Oh
because
yeah.
you're fine with that. Like when Red Dead Redemption came out, I don't know how much gaming you do.
Oh no, Red Dead's a good game. I've played
Yeah,
that.
that storyline, I love the acting and the storyline to that, and like all the behind the scenes of that, and like it was great acting. But I was at a time I was all depressed, so I'm like, oh, I'm literally Arthur, and I was smoking more cigars and stuff like that, and it's like it's literally me, boy. And um, we go like I started this new job at the time. It was 4 years ago that game. Damn, it came out 4 years ago. But I remember starting this new job, and me and my brother like always doing the character and like the cigars. I just started smoking, I think probably 4 years ago too. So I was like coughing and stuff, and I'm like, oh, got TB, and I wound up getting bronchitis for 6 weeks. And
That is a good story. That is.
literally dying. I pushed all I can.
Yeah, you're on the mountain. You're sitting down. This is my time, and that is true. That definitely. The problem with TV. I mean, I love watching a good TV show. I'm still going to watch TV shows. That's one thing that I'm not disciplined enough to stop. Maybe, but it is true because if you watch a TV show, you've got to be very careful with your mental diet. You could watch something and not be affected by it. That's somewhat true. But you just got to be careful with it, not associating characters. Now, when I was younger, I used to watch a lot of movies about like partying, nightclubs, all that stuff. Just
Yeah,
living that kind of lifestyle. And this was back in university, and I really associated with the characters. I'm like, yeah, that would be so much fun. I really became one with the character in my mind, and I manifested like for years like a really fun lifestyle. So it can benefit you,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
If you
It
like
can
see
inspire you, and
like that,
make you. It can help you make an alter ego in a way. Absolutely.
yeah. So I'm like, that's why I'm like, got to be very careful what literally main characters you choose. Everybody always chooses the tragic ones.
Oh yeah, it's so common for this society.
Yeah,
And our generation, especially, the amount of characters. Like, I've seen this meme. I don't like it because I mean it's funny,
yeah,
but Ryan Gosling. There's a new Barbie movie. I've not seen it, but everyone there's this big meme of Ryan Gosling saying that's literally me.
yeah.
And it's always the most tragic characters. I've not seen any of the movies they reference because I Drive, Blade Runner. It's always like a loner who's all depressed and sad, and everyone's like, "That's literally me." And
Yeah,
yeah, I know these people have not the happiest lives, and that's because they're identifying with flawed characters.
exactly. And that's where it's like, this is something I think that gets overlooked, and maybe just because we're actors as well, we can see it.
Yeah,
And
oh, yeah,
like the literally me thing with Ryan Gosling, it was I had just watched the movie Drive too when I was doing that last one I told you about where she left me for her ex.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't hold it back against her when we broke up and we would get back together because everyone's like, "Where's your pride?" It's like, well, if you understand what I understand, I created that event, so it's like, okay, well, the good version is back now. I will go back. Um, when I was watching that, so my SP, I didn't tell you too much about, but like everyone on the channel knows, my SP is 40. I'm 26. I think maybe I did tell you this. So she's 15 years older, and it was like
Yeah.
the 40th virgin. She had 3 kids that were grown. Like her daughter's my age, her oldest is my age, and her granddaughter is a little girl. So obviously, and but I was hanging out with her. I took her and her granddaughter to the zoo, and like we would do stuff together. And I I felt like Drive. They were telling me I was Drive. My friends, they're like, so I was like, the time with you and Benicio has been the best of my life. Like, and I was just like on that whole like Drive thing, and then like I was working a shift where like I couldn't see her that much. I couldn't see any of my friends, and I got out at 10 p.m. and I wasn't like my friends were all on day shift at the time, so nobody's out doing anything. So I would just drive and meditate and think. But driving through like downtown Chicago, driving through like all the lights and stuff, everyone's like, "Wow, you're a taxi driver," and I was like, "Oh wow, he's literally me."
Yeah. That's very, especially in our generation. Like everyone tries to associate with, especially men. They
Yeah,
try and associate, link themselves with characters. But it's always like the Ryan Gosling meme sense, literally me. Like Gosling even said himself, and I do think it's. I don't insult anyone who does think they're literally Ryan Gosling. But Ryan Gosling said, "Oh, all the people who make these memes and say they're literally me in Drive or Blade Runner, these
yeah,
people are losers." Now, I will say they're losers, but they are probably manifesting for themselves kind of a bad life because they're identifying with a very depressed character who has nothing. But
yeah.
that's,
They just want to have
so
that sacrifice or whatever at the end, and then just go because at the end it is like all those movies end in their own demise, but like they've helped others, so they thinking that helping the others. Because I will admit, from being a literally me man at one point, that yeah, it was like, well, the best outcome for me, the only reason I'm here is to help somebody, and then I can just go away. But then it's like, no, you could start living a life. It's like watch something like, well, Wolf of Wall Street is a tragic character too, but like when he's partying, it's like he's
that
like,
is,
"I'm
I
that
was going to mention that. That
yeah,
when I said I used to watch party movies when I was younger, that was one of the main movies I watched. I was like, oh yeah, that's literally me, the party part.
yeah,
Ironically, now I'm actually working in sales, which is actually really trippy.
yeah,
Because I was like when I was younger, yeah, that's me. I said to all my friends, I'm like the Wolf of Wall Street, and for a few years I did not to that extent, but in my version, I felt like I was living a really fun party lifestyle, and yeah, that was actually probably one where I manifested that kind of a fun social life. That's what I'm going to say. It was I manifested for myself a very fun social life by identifying with, like, let's say, for example, the main character in The Wolf of Wall Street. And this was before I even knew what manifesting was.
yeah,
And that is, when I look back at my life, I discovered manifesting when I was like around 19, 20 years old.
yeah,
So I look back at my life before I discovered manifesting. I can definitely see how I manifested certain things. Absolutely.
yeah. No, it's like what was oh, here's one for you. It's just like a little bit of a funny story adding to the same point was this past weekend when I went to go visit my friend, we wound up he because I told him the story about accidentally going into a strip club just to gamble and thinking it was a regular bar, and then told him about manifesting and stuff because he's kind of now getting into it, but he works at a church, so I started like breaking stuff down from the Bible, like Neville. So then he's like, "Wear your suit when you come down here." So I wear my suit, and me and my brother go down there. We're all dressed up nice. He goes, "All right, I know where I'm taking you," and he took us to a strip club, and my brother had never been to one. So I'm like, "We'll all go there," and he goes, "All right, we work in mergers and acquisitions. Your name is Patrick." So like so we were just literally we were doing like the literally me. It's like my name is Patrick Bateman. I work in mergers and acquisitions, and like you're just being like the cocky character. But
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, stay here at this part of the character. Do not go to the end chasing someone.
Oh yeah, don't do that. But no, that's very true. Like, I've seen that meme a lot. Patrick Bateman's literally me. Like, probably one of the worst characters you could pretend to be like. But and
Yeah,
Christian Bale said it himself. He literally said, he thinks anyone who thinks they're like Patrick Bateman is a loser. And
yeah,
another one is Homelander in The Boys. I've seen that meme a lot. I
yeah.
don't know if you've seen The Boys. It's a great show.
I
But
started.
those guys, and they're literally me. And it's like but that is flawed because you're manifesting, identifying with characters who aren't good. They're not living amazing lives. Probably not the life you ideally want.
Yeah,
And yeah, it is going to be a downfall at the end of the day. That's why I'm very careful. I used to really like watch videos and re-identify with characters. I'm very careful now with that because you know, you want to be in control of your own character too.
Yeah, that's a big thing that removed me from TikTok was doing that because I'm like, all of it is literally me type stuff. So I'm like, well, I did have a video that's not that popular on the channel about coming from an acting perspective of like, okay, well, when you're an actor, what do? You understand the storyline. So what kind of life storyline would you want? Okay, now if you were rich, successful, with okay, here's your SP. If you're the writer, actor, and director of the story, what is SP? What type of woman or man is SP? Now, what type of man or woman are you to get that version of them to live this life? So it's like, okay, what are the characteristics? Okay, if you're rich and successful, what does a rich and successful person do? Well, they
Yes.
their bodies, their diet. When they go out, they don't drink to excess and like look sloppy and make the fool of themselves. They'll classily do it. Everything is with class. And actually, that's kind of what got me into the suits and stuff. And SP was
Yeah.
the one who kind of helped me pick out a lot of my fashion stuff. So I was dressing better, eating better, and then I was like, okay, they travel. So I was able to scrounge up my money together to like do trips. And it's like, what would I be doing trips with SP? Yes, I'm trips with SP, this and that. And it's like I'm becoming that character of Nick. It's not Patrick Bateman, not Ryan Gosling, not any of that. It's like, who is my character? Like, was it Matthew McConaughey? Where's my man? I got to know who my man is, and I'm gonna be him. And it's like, that's what you do.
Now that's very true. Like you know, think like the thing is, I said this in one of my YouTube videos very recently. But I've said we all have the exact. And Neville Goddard it himself. He said we all have the exact same mind, the exact same imagination. We just use it differently. The only difference between, let's say, someone who's unsuccessful and someone who is successful is the successful person thinks and uses their mind in a different way. If you literally took their mind and put it in your mind, you would get the same results. I know some people will not agree with that, who don't believe in manifesting to begin with, but that is simply the fact. So yeah, you could definitely, how would a rich person think? How would a attractive person think? And if you begin to think like that, you will manifest the results.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes, it's exactly what I've also discovered on this whole journey. So I knew I had a feeling too. I'm like, I didn't even write that down on the thing, but I was like, I know we got to like talk about acting and how it could be,
absolutely,
because it is at the end of the day, like Neville broke it down: actor, writer, producer, and director of your own movie. When it's bad, rewrite a scene. Like on movie sets, they do. They take the scene. Like if it's not going over well, they have a writer on set to rewrite that scene right there, or like on break, rewrite this, and we're going to come back to it and see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's interesting. I've thought about acting before in the sense of like, I mean, I'm an actor myself, but I've thought like, what if life is just a play? And many people say that. Neville Goddard said life is like a play. William Blake, I think, has mentioned it. William Shakespeare said it. And I was thinking, what if life is like a play, and what we desire is the character is supposed to be? Let's say I desire to be rich and successful. Maybe my character is supposed to be rich and successful, and I've got to assume that role. That's a very good. That's one way you can manifest. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I like that too because I made a video on this the other day. I don't know if it was a short or where I put it, but I remember recording this. Maybe it was just on my Snapchat too. That the the life that hold on, wait, I just lost my train of thought. What was your point again? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
What I'm saying is like, you know, I mean, there's lots of different ways to manifest different philosophies. But one thing was thinking like, what if God is the director and he's telling you what character you are in this play of life by what you desire, and your only job is to literally become that character in real life.
Yeah, it was that was
mentally becoming it.
I said one day we're all gonna look back because it's like look at the movie. I think I even told SP this before. I said even all the problems we go through now, it's just part of the play. Because at the end of life, whether we wind up together or not, and I told this on the channel too, I believe, when you get to the end, what happens at the wrap party or when at the premiere? Everyone's laughing, having a good time, and they're just being themselves again. They're not playing the state that they were when they were in the film. It's just all relaxed, and it's like everyone's just being now. And it's like you look back and laugh on all of it. It's like, man, I was struggling for that for years, or it's like
Neville said like life is a dream, and that's something I'm really diving into at the moment. He said life is like a dream, and when you come out of it, maybe someone else said it, but someone said life is a dream. And when you wake up from the dream, you'll be laughing with how seriously you took this dream. Alan Watts, I think, might have said that, to be honest. But Neville believes life is a dream as well. So, yeah, that's absolutely true. You know, we probably will come out of the afterlife laughing, thinking, Jesus, how do we take it so seriously?
That's
only a play.
Like when you have a bad dream or something, you wake up and it's like, whew, thank God that's just a dream. And it's like, if you do that, it's like, yeah, no big deal. And it's like now, just relax on it now because it is like all the bad stuff we're experiencing is just a nightmare. And it's like the more you look for and you check stuff, it's like, oh, I'm still in the dream. I can't get out. I can't get out. I can't get out. Well, more bad stuff. And it's like one of the things I said was in actual dreams, like because I like to go to sleep with my assumption. I'm sure you probably do that too, right?
Yeah.
It's like you take your desire to sleep with you. So one of my like the best ways I learned this from Elmer Lockett Jr.'s channel stuff, and it was like the technique that it always worked for me was falling asleep with SP and then like having a little inner conversation. Next thing you know, we're good to go, and like everything's back to normal, or it's like a reset. But it's like when you go to sleep, your subconscious will fight you a little bit, and like I've been going through that now, trying to like go with the circumstances I'm in. It's like you're having nightmares. Wake up from the nightmare, fight it. Like remember when Neville talked about the demon and the angel in his dream, and then
the monster and the angel,
yeah, and he goes, and as I pummeled it, it left, and it got bigger and stronger, and it's like. So it's like the only way to fight it is to wake up and reset, go back. Nightmare again, wake up, reset, go back. That's how you fight it peacefully, not fighting in the.
Yeah, there was sort of those two beings. Like, it was the angel and the monster, I believe, or something like that. He said the only way he could fix the monster was to realize it's his own creation and like fix it with love and give it love, and instantly disappeared. That's very true. Animals did say when you have a dream, a nightmare, let's say, and you wake up right before something bad's going to happen. Like, you know, let's say you're literally something terrible is about to happen in this nightmare. You wake up and you're like, oh, that's a close one. Thank God I woke up. This is life before like that, especially you get everything you want. Let's say you really struggle, you get everything you want, and then you die, let's say when you're 80, and then you wake up in the afterlife, you're like, oh, that was a close dream. You know, that's a close one.
Yeah, and it's like, or you wake up, and it's like we have two choices. We wake up either from the nightmare and be like, wow, that was close, and then but it was you spent 60, 70, 80 years in a nightmare, or you wake up now in the night, you start lucid dreaming now and say, I'm changing it, change the dream in the dream, and then you wake up and be like, wow, that was starting out kind of scary, but thank God, oh, you can relax, and it's like one of those things you just start relaxing now and feeling it. And I don't know if you ever seen the movie Devil's Advocate. That was like another one that I
yeah, with Al Pacino, right?
Yeah, with Al Pacino, and like at the end where Keanu was able to reset everything at the end when he.
Spoiler. Yeah, he shoots himself. He wakes up back in the bathroom.
Yep, and I was like, man, I watched that movie. It was like the last movie I watched with my grandma before she passed, and I was like thinking about that movie, thinking about her, and like I actually did that the night before that story I was telling you where SP met my family and stuff the next day. I was like going to sleep. I'm like, I hope we just have a reset, and I wake up and I feel like she's in bed with me. I feel like everything's back to normal, and then we wind up getting like she makes my family stuff, and the following weekend we woke up in bed together, and like all the stuff I was imagining, like ordering breakfast, staying in, and watching movies all day. That's what we wound up doing. And I was like, holy shit, like it did reset. It reset just like in the movie. So I did make a video about, you could do resets too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you never said, like, and I've done this in the past and I've got very good results from this. It might be something on my adventure and look into more in the future. But you did say, like, if there's a problem in your life, every desire is a problem. And just imagine the problem is fixed. Don't imagine how, like, let's say you want to be with SP. You don't even have to imagine that you're with SP. Just think the entire problem is fixed. Like, you don't know how it's fixed. And just imagine, I've done this many times. I mean, in the past, it's worked. Just imagine and feel the problem is completely fixed. And the solution will be the physical manifestation. So let's say, for example, you're broke. Let's say you have no money. And you close your eyes, or you just imagine the problem of poverty is absolutely fixed. You feel completely that problem is fixed. And then the physical manifestation of money or a good job or winning the lottery, whatever it is, or an inheritance, that's just going to be the physical manifestation of the feeling you felt of that problem being fixed.
Yeah, and it happens in the most natural way possible. It's like
absolutely
I felt like I was blocked out of ever seeing my SP again. Like I said, she left me one of the times like right around Christmas, and I was fearing that too. I'm like, what if we don't get to spend Christmas together? Well, the following year we did spend Christmas together, and it's like, um, I was like, well, what's gonna happen now? I was all freaked out, third party, all this stuff. I'm like, I don't even know how. I mean, I'm blocked everywhere. How do I get contact? And I'm going to my gym at a different time. She'll never see me. I run into her best friend at the gym, who I'd only met once, and I just kind of mentioned, hey, you know, told her about like, could you give her these gifts or whatever I got her for Christmas? And she's like, she goes, you really need her right now. And then she wound up actually, she was going through a horrible relationship with her ex, which she chose over me. And it was something I was visualizing that she cried for me and thought about me every night and stuff like that. Turned out all that stuff was happening. Everything I was visualizing in the happening in the background. That's why I always say whatever's happening in the background is whatever you think it is. If you think they're going out partying, having a good time, and being happy without you, then they are. If you think that they're
Yeah,
miserable, despite what you see on social media, because it's like how many times have we posted on social media to like take a 3D action and show, oh, I'm happy, but I'm really not. It's like
mm,
just trying to put myself out there. And I had done that before I knew manifesting to try and like, and even after I knew it, like trying to get SP's attention, like, look, I'm having a good time, but really deep down I'm suffering. But when I change my state, you don't even have to know what I'm doing in my personal life to feel the change in me.
yeah, that's very true. Well, and yeah, I think that's a very good point. You said, what you assume other people are doing, uh, good odds are they're actually doing it. What you believe other people are really thinking deep down, it's likely they're really actually thinking that because your assumptions are manifesting in the world. And I've
Yeah,
seen it many times in my life that what you believe someone is thinking and feeling turns out what they are thinking and feeling.
yeah,
It's very interesting.
yeah. That's why I was like, whatever you're, like, I always tell people, I'm like, no matter what you're seeing, hearing, or what they tell you, you have to change your opinion and assumption of what it means. Like when I was only partially blocked on stuff before, I would say, okay, here's this one good thing. I'm not blocked on this social media because they want the door open and everything they're posting is to get my attention because they want me back and they don't know how to come back. So you just flip a story, whether it's true or not, like why they did that. If you assume it is the reason, it will later be revealed to you in a normal, natural way that it is.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. There's so many stories on the internet with SPs. Because this is now obviously we're talking about like people's thoughts and physical people. And like people say, yeah, I imagined all these, and you say yourself, I imagined my SP is thinking all these things, and they come running to me like a month or two later, and they have thought all those things. And I've had experience that in my own life. I've tested that out, and that's entirely true.
Yeah. And like I said before to people, is like I would not be putting my face out here if I did not believe or experience
Oh,
things
absolutely.
because everybody was gonna be like that's why I always tell the truth about when I'm going through good, bad, and it's like, okay, let's go back and retrace it. You start to trace out where was I thinking? Well, here's why this thing happened. Here's why that thing happened. Because your thoughts will always reflect it. That's why you watch everything you say and do carefully. And eventually it's like for me and probably for you as well, we draw a fine line between acting and this because when you leave work, you forget about that role. Like and just pick it up.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You've got to be careful with that. But I think many actors are. I think obviously if you believe that if you still manifest even after, what I mean, with acting, I'm more skilled in film acting. That's my specialty. I'm not a big fan of stage anymore. But with film acting, you do a scene for like a minute or two, then you have a break. So you're not in that 24/7. Of
Yeah,
course, if you're doing all the good inner work outside those scenes, you're going to get, still the good results you want. You've got
yeah,
to bear in mind because lots of actors aren't even aware of it.
yeah. You got yeah. That was my thing too. It's like 'cause I specialize with just film too. It's like I never really got into stage. And I'm like I like film because it's a minute or two. I only have to remember the lines in that scene right there.
Mm.
And the problem would be like I would take the essence of that character sometimes, and I'm like, I'm just going to be this character all the time, literally me. But it's like for a good film, you want a dramatic character who is flawed.
Oh, yeah.
Real life, you don't want a flawed character. You want the perfect character
Yeah, absolutely.
who's not
Yeah,
like
it's very true. I mean, I was going to mention this. If you go the other way, Marilyn Monroe, obviously, a very good actress. I'm not watched much of her work though, but there's a really good story that like Marilyn Monroe, but she's always the same character in every single movie. Uh, she like pretended to be like she created the state and the alter ego of Marilyn Monroe, and that did obviously manifest huge success in every movie Marilyn Monroe's in. She's always that happy, rich, successful blonde girl. Unfortunately, she had a lot of baggage and limiting beliefs and lots of trauma in her mind. Of course, in the long run, the bad outweighed the good. So it goes both ways, she was obviously only doing good characters really in her movies.
Yeah.
And, so it's the overall picture of who you are as a person.
Yeah, you want your
overall mind. Yeah.
You want that authentic version to be the version, like if she was maintaining that character into her personal life, that character should have been in the personal life. It's more important than the public image. You could have a bad public image, but a really good self concept. Kind of like we discussed this the other day about like horrible people in the world. The world hates them. They're bad people. They do bad things, but their self concept is so high that they can't fuck this up. Nothing's bad is ever going to happen to them. That's why you see like so many dictators with like people try to assassinate them. Nothing. They all fail because and then their self confidence even more. And it's like good things.
That's very true.
In their world, it's good to them, but not to other people.
Yeah, of course. But that's very true. Like, if with Marilyn Monroe, if she was in that state all the time, who knows what could have happened, She obviously was in and out that state, and that's why she had such a. I watched the movie about her too. Blonde, I don't know if it's called Blondie, Blonde, I don't know. It's not that accurate, it's actually based on a fictional book about her. But there's parts that are accurate. But like with her life, literally in the public eye, in movie, she was amazing, a star. Behind the scenes, she was literally the polar opposite. And of course, I think she knew deep down that she's only acting the role. She did feel all these bad emotions and bad feelings.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got to. The biggest thing is that actors who are unaware of it are the ones who probably manifest these bad things. They're unaware of manifesting. The fact we're aware of manifesting, everyone watching is aware of manifesting, that puts you ahead of everyone who doesn't even know what manifesting is. Because at least you can make the conscious choice of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, you're aware of it. You can control it if you're aware of it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like always keeping yourself in that state of like always watching your mental diet. And it's hard and exhausting at times, but it's like the same thing, working out or anything else. The more you do it, the more you could control it. Like you've been working out for years, you don't feel like going to the gym or working out, you could pick up and run. Like I've been in states where I got really out of shape. You change your mindset. It's like pick up and just go run 5 miles, or like seeing even what your mind can do for your body. Like David Goggins, the motivational speaker,
right,
I'm going to do this. And even in his own speech, he said he kept failing the Navy SEAL training, but he visualized himself in the dress whites and everything at graduation. So even though he failed all the way, like made every mistake he could have in there and failed all those times, he still made it to the graduation. In the end, he was visualizing.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Yeah, that's very true. Mental diet, it is mental diet. For example, let's think about health for your body. If I had absolutely zero idea that eating unhealthy food is going to make me unhealthy, I never knew it was a thing. And I'd be eating junk food all the time, and I would be unhealthy. The fact is, most people are very aware. Virtually everyone is aware that there's healthy food, there's unhealthy food, and then you can actually have some power over your diet. And no one knows about that with a mind, though. No one knows that what you're thinking is really correct. You hear it. Oh, what you need a good mindset. You hear it in a very shallow way in self-improvement stuff. But you do hear it, but at the end of the day, it's a lot deeper than that.
It's always like your subconscious is always being impressed. And I stopped going to sleep with the TV on because, what do you call it? Reverend Ike mentioned this, and I was doing it before I heard him say that, but he goes, things get to you and get to your subconscious in the dead of night. So when you leave your TV on and it's playing ads for medicines and stuff like that, like he always said the Excedrin one, he goes, oh, I have a headache. What kind of headache? That's an Excedrin headache, because you keep hearing the Excedrin ads, so you go buy Excedrin because you have that. Or like for me with drinking and stuff, everyone's like, oh, when you get older, like you get hangovers and stuff. And I never really drank till I was like 22, 23. But then I always said, I never get hangovers. I never get hangovers. And I've only had maybe like 5 or 6 in my entire life. And those were like times where I kept thinking that entire night, I'm going to be hungover tomorrow. And like, but simple like that, your body is reacting to, no, we can't, because we don't. It doesn't happen to us.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. I can absolutely relate with the hangovers, for example. When I was younger, I used to not get that many. I just drank 2 pints of water and I believed, oh, that's fine. And who knows if it is fine. But even those small things, even what you drink. There are some people who can't drink anything. Well, in the past, when I would drink a spirit, I would absolutely be able to drink it no problem. And then
Yeah,
I get too drunk in it one night. But I can't touch it ever again. And that's just a limiting belief at the end of the day, And
yeah,
it does lead to many, many things, Absolutely.
yeah. It's crazy how much, and those are just all off affirmations too. So it's like, in a way, it is because it's like I'm not visualizing no hangover tomorrow. I'm just saying it, or like when I was like the one time I was playing slot machines and I was in a negative state, and I like towards the end I started like switching it around. I'm like, I'm going to manifest. I'm walking out with $1,000 no matter what. I put my $20 in. I go to hit the button, and the thing right next to me is dinging. It's an ATM right next to me. I didn't notice, and there's nobody around. And
That
my
is crazy.
my friend came up, and she's like, "Do you see?" I'm like, "Yeah." Takes out the money. More money comes out, and then I counted as $2,000, and we split 50. And I'm like, so I left with $1,000, but it didn't happen the way I thought it was.
That might be one of the craziest manifestations I've ever heard. And that just proves how real it is. Like, you're like, I'm going to manifest $1,000 tonight, and you're playing the casino, and literally turn around and see an empty ATM machine with $2,000.
Yeah,
And you show me it's not like it was only $1,000 or 500. It wasn't even, it was like $3,000. It was even more or less. I honestly believe that's like one of the best stories I've heard. That proves it.
that's what had me on this, like, oh my god, like, I'm like, if there's like, because I was doubting the law at the time too, because I was like, even though I know all the rules and stuff, it's like I don't think I can fix whatever circumstance I'm going through. I'm like, I'm just gonna use gambling to prove it. And I hit all the little jackpots, but they're not paying big. Like, I would hit the jackpot, but then I didn't see myself winning it. So like you would get the chance for the jackpot, and then I hit it. I'm like, come on, like. And then I was like, I was needing. I'm like, I don't really need the $1,000. I'm thinking, I'm like, I've got more money in the bank. I don't need to leave with 1,000. I brought the 300. I expected to lose it. I was like, this last 20, I'm leaving with the 1,000. I go to hit the button, and that's when I hear it. I'm like, if this isn't manifest, I kept looking. I'm like, I probably could have had the whole $2,000, but because I kept looking, my friend comes up, and then it got split, so it wound up being 1,000. But I'm like, people don't find more than, like, I've never found more than like a quarter or $1 on the floor. And then after that, then me and my brother went for a walk like a few weeks later, found $50 on the ground. I was like, never done that before. And then when I went, then me and SP wound up getting back together, and we went to a carnival, and I did a visualization video for the channel. And I was counting out $100 bills and saying, "What would you do with it?" And I stopped at 300. I'm pretty sure it was around 300, or at least I felt it internally 300. I was holding in this hand of imaginary stuff and a big stack of money in this hand. I'm holding the 300. I'm like, think of all the things you could do with this. We go to a carnival, and it was in a bad area, so they make you take all your stuff out of your pockets and stuff.
Yeah.
So I look down and I see a $100 bill on the ground, pick it up, but it was fat, like folded over. I'm like, there's at least 300 in here. And I told her, I'm like, babe, I got $300. She goes, what? And I pull it out. I'm like, yeah, it's 300. I was like, exactly like that. So I'm like, that's why it's like, if money comes to you that easily, if you can manifest your SP back as many times as I have, if you can manifest someone out of thin air, which I've done that before. Have you ever tried that before? Manifesting a person into your reality out of thin air?
No, not direct. I've had people like, I'd imagine, and then other people I never even knew existed come into my life to fulfill manifestations. I've had experiences with that before. I
Yeah.
haven't directly tried to manifest people out of thin air. But I've had people out of thin air come into my life to help me to get to a manifestation, absolutely.
Yeah. That's all, like, I tried to do, because someone asked me, I'm like, I've never done it before, but it was like right when I was first starting the channel, I think. It was actually right before I started the channel. I said, let me just, so it was like last summer, probably around this time, I scripted out like the type of girl I would like to meet and just to go on dates with, not to like date or anything, just because I was still like had my head on SP. I was like, this is something I heard of. I'm like, let me just test it. And the girl met like half or three-quarters of the thing. I'm like, okay, that's pretty close. I'll take it. But it's like then my SP comes back because I'm like, my SP has a blonde streak of hair right here. So I'm like, oh, so this girl has all blonde. So I was like, and I was like, okay, well, it doesn't meet everything. Then I made a new one on like right around Christmas this year. I mean, my SP took like 3 weeks off or whatever. And that girl, the day after it was on Christmas Eve, I was with SP, and we decided, okay, well, maybe let's just take a break for a while. And then the next day I wound up meeting that girl who was on the list, and exactly the list. And she came over to my house, and I was hanging out with her for like a week or so at the point where we were like spending every day together. I'm like, hold on. I come in here in the studio, and I have the Neville reader, and inside there I have the list. Or no, it was in this notebook actually. I pull it out, rip out the page. I said, "Read that," and she was drunk because like she drank a lot, which is why that didn't work out. So she's like, "This is me." I'm like, "Yes," and she
That's
goes,
crazy.
"Why'd you write this about me?" I said, "Because I wrote I was going to meet that person." She goes, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "You know what manifesting is? Yeah, crazy people do it." And I'm like, "Okay, hold on." And I pull out Neville's reader, I slam it on the table. I'm like, "Whatever I do from this book happens in the real world. I can't explain it, but if you do what he says, it happens." And
Yeah.
that was like one of the weird experiences I've had. The
I
weird,
know, I know, I know. YouTube. He said something similar. He wrote a list, and someone came into his life, and it wasn't until later he realized they nearly matched the entire list. It is trippy. It is very trippy. It's definitely one way people could manifest a certain type of partner. Absolutely. You know, you got success from it. Other people have. That's yeah, fascinating.
yeah. So there's always, I don't know. It's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, I've seen too much to not believe it at this point.
Oh yeah, I said earlier, like the odds of all these things happening is like 1 in a trillion. So
Yeah,
and then logically, even if you think from a literal logical point of view, it would make logical sense to believe that there is something real about it. If scientists, and when people say, "Oh no, this is not scientifically proven," well, really, scientifically proven only means you do something over and over again until it can't really be right, and it can't be called a coincidence. That's essentially what it is. Every
yeah,
scientific experiment, you do something over and over and over again until it cannot be a coincidence. The
yeah,
odds of it being a coincidence are so slim. And we're manifesting, if you do these techniques, you do get results. And in my opinion, the only reasons are scientifically proven. We've scientifically proven it to ourselves, and many other people have, but
yeah,
it's because no one wants to give it the first go. But absolutely, once you do it a couple of times, you realize this is very real.
yeah. And it's like who Joe Dispenza kind of proves it scientifically when he hooks up the wires to people's brains and you see different parts fire and wire together. And like if you wake up, change it. That's why you do it right before sleep. You wake up feeling different. And then it's like, yeah, it's going to hit you like, okay, SP is not in my bed. Oh, my bank account's still not where I want it. Or this. But my thing was like, okay, don't check your bank account and don't look in the bed to see SP is not there. Just get up. I got to go to work, go about my day. You keep sleeping. That was one of the things I would do. But I would not look back at my bed or I would not check my bank account. And I would just say, whatever I need, I have. And if I can't afford something, just say, I've already got it. I don't really need it. And then eventually I don't really need it anyway. And
Yeah.
I'll get it.
That's another thing. Checking is obviously. I think I'm bad with this with stuff, but like checking is like that's a big mistake. Let's say you want money, and you check. How much money you have, or you want your SP to message you. You check the social media. That's a huge mistake people make. Is checking.
Yep.
If you truly were fulfilled, would you be checking? Absolutely not.
No, and it kind of leads to because it's like you need to be split up from the person to do that. So like when me and my SP would be fighting and stuff, or not even fighting, but like she wasn't responding fast, I would be like, huh, I wonder if she's gonna. Because in the past she had left me before, so I'm like, okay, well, what could I go through? And I would go through check all the social media. Oh, she's online, but she didn't respond, and it's like, why are you doing? You know the rules, but it's like you do that, and it's like, okay, well now she's not going to reply because now your brain associates that's more important than me.
Yeah.
How many times do we have other people, friends and family, where it's like, oh, I'm going to reply to them in a second, but then you get a notification for a meme or something on Facebook or something, pop on real quick, just like it, and then sometimes it will leave you active for a little bit, and then you get off there. And if someone was watching your stuff, it's like, oh, he's ignoring me. No, it's not really ignoring. It's just, it's,
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Yeah, checking is one of the worst habits you can do with manifesting. I mean, if you want to check anything, you should check your mind. Your world is a reflection of your mind to begin with. So while you're checking the outside world, you should be checking your internal states.
yeah,
Absolutely true.
that's the best way. Yeah, it's like go right to that end scene. It's like, no, I've seen, like you said, the movie, end of the movie. I've seen the end of the movie. So I'm just going right to the end of the movie.
Yeah. Many people check in for validation on the outside to reassure them, but you don't need reassurance. If you want to be all powerful, you need just check, am I feeling what I want to feel? And to be fair, you can do the technique and just like go on with your life, but, just keep an eye on yourself, not the outside world. Edward Art, I don't know if anyone here knows him. Edward Art, I think, is one of the best manifesting teachers out there. He's phenomenal. He said in one of his, he's quite big on Reddit, but one of his, what do you call it? One of his Reddit posts was called something along the lines like, the more you, this is a paraphrase of it. It was like, the less you look, the more you see, and that's very true. The less you check in the outside world, the more you're going to see stuff you want in the outside world.
What was his name?
Very true. Edward Arts.
Oh, Edward. Oh, yeah, because he was the one.
He has a YouTube channel as well. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, I've seen a few of his videos. He was the one. I think he started on Reddit or something, right?
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah. I remember when I first started like getting into all this stuff. I remember seeing that. Yeah, that's a good line. The more you check, the
Very
less.
true. That man has some amazing quotes as good as Neville, in my opinion. Like, it's so true. The less you look, the more you see. Very true. Manifesting. The times when I've done manifesting, and I've not really been looking at all the outside world. But all day, I'm always thinking about internal state, my mind. I'm literally so busy in my mind, I don't have time to think of the outside world. That's when I see the greatest changes. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's like, then you feel validated already because all you're doing is checking for validation. So you validate yourself.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Whatever you want the outside world to give you, give to yourself.
Yeah. And it's the simple, like I tell people, like manifesting is the simplest and the hardest thing in the world because it's literally just taking that leap of faith, walking in faith. It's like Neville said, you turn to the Bible, it's the greatest manifesting book. It's like everything they talk about leap of faith, walking in faith. Well, faith is only internal. It's not, SP is messaging me. Oh, my bank account's full. I'm good. But what inner work did you do, which leads into your self-concept? Because now if you lose it, like Neville said, you could take away everything I've ever built, but don't take away my I am and my ability to know I can, which is kind of like, that was something that's recently happened to me. I was kind of curious about this, and be careful what you're curious about or wondering about or thinking on, because I was like, what if I did lose everything? Could I still be the one who manifests everything back? And then recently there's been some stuff that I've lost in my life, and I was like, how do I get this back? Or go back to your teachings and prove it again, and show yourself and everyone else, and then build up your self-concept that there is literally nothing other than I am that creates.
That's true. And if you're very dependent on outside results, you're going to be very scared to lose it. Like, that's why, Neville did say in one of his books, like, real value, and real value is not the external things, it's your inner state. Like, don't worship all these physical don't worship anything in this physical world because it's literally just projection in your mind. And that's absolutely true, if you're very, if you need, this is a good one. I don't watch Marvel, but I think I heard this quote in a Marvel film. I don't know which one. I think it was Iron Man, but I think Iron Man said, correct me if I'm wrong, he said, like, you're not the man with the suit or without the suit, then you're not the man. And that's very true, that thing. If you are only the man or the woman whoever's watching, if you're only the best version of yourself with all that money, then you need that money, but you need it to be so powerful, like a godlike power. You need to have no power onto outside things.
Exactly. No, that's exactly right. Where it's like, for me, I would doubt whenever I'd have anything with SP go on. It's like, oh, well, I can't be the mystic and I can't manifest. It's like, but no, what brought you to this point? The point was you were able to do it without it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's like, you've got to, and everything comes from you. That's another thing. Like, it's more like the law of reflection, I like to call it. It's like everything's a mirror of you. So everything comes from you. So just focus on inside and, don't worship anything on the outside, but it comes from you. It's just a reflection of you,
Yeah.
Let's say an example is I'm wearing a suit right now. If I have a mirror outside, literally down the corridor, if I look in the mirror and I break the mirror, I take the mirror away, I'm still wearing a suit. I'm still wearing a suit in real life, If I have no reflection, I can't see a reflection of myself ever again. I'm still wearing a suit. It's no different. It's the same with manifesting.
Exactly. No, it's a great point. And I actually saw a question come up that you actually did a video on that I really liked. It says, I have multiple desires at once. Instead of affirming different desires throughout the day, I wrote a list of my desires with some self-concept affirmations too. That's a good thing to do, Dion.
Yeah.
But you're doing one about manifesting multiple desires. I watched that one actually the other day that you made.
Yeah, I made a video about that. It's on my channel, but what I'm going to quickly say about it is the thing is you can manifest multiple things at the same time. Right now, multiple manifestations are coming into our reality. So there's no point doing manifestations one by one. That takes so long. And it puts more pressure on a single desire to begin with. So just, practice manifesting in multiple things throughout the day. Don't focus on just one desire. You can if you want, but to be effective, it's like gardening. I've said this exact thing in my YouTube video.
Yeah.
But like, you don't plant one seed at a time. You plant multiple seeds in the garden, and they'll all grow around the same time. So absolutely, you can manifest multiple things at the same time. I encourage you to do it.
That one, yeah, I really like that metaphor that you did with the seeds because I was like, that one hit me because it's like, and then Neville brought it up too about planting seeds. He's like, or was it Neville or someone else? I don't know. But they were like, you plant.
Neville is the main one talking about seeds.
Yeah, it's like you don't dig it up and say, did you grow yet? And then go back. It's like, just leave it and it will grow in its own time. Like Neville said, the horse takes whatever it takes, like, is that 9 months as well, but whatever. Each animal takes a certain time to be born, or 9 months. So it's like, how long does your manifestation take? The only thing is we don't know. And I would always use the thing like, it's like, I don't know if it's different by you, but in America, if you order something from China, it takes fucking forever to get here. And but sometimes it arrives really quick, which is weird. But it's like if you order off Wish.com or something, it's like it's either here today or 7 months from now. But when you get it, you're no more disappointed. And then, like, let's say you get your desire, but it's not exactly what you want. It reminds me of that story with the couple from Neville's story where they wanted an apartment building, but they didn't want to pay a dime for it. And then, like, the guy is like, the exact guy they want shows up, says you just have to pay, like, sorry, nothing. And then they turned it down. Like, that's like setting boundaries and an ultimate self-concept of like, no, we know we're going to get it for free and you're going to be the one that does it. He comes back with the blueprints. Okay, I bought the blueprints. Now just pay this. Nope. Come back again. All right, I'll build it and do this, and then you just pay me back. And I think that's when they finally said yes. But it's like, then they couldn't get someone to fill the last tenant space. And it's like they picked the lady in their head that doubted them the whole time to be the one who rents that place. And then she did.
Yeah.
You just keep pushing forward. It's like if you get your SP and it's not a conformed version, or you get an opportunity to make the money, but it's not making the money you want, you don't have to reject them and say go away, but just see it differently, as in like, no, it's here this particular way I want it, instead of trying to fight and be like, well, no, you were supposed to come back in my reality and be like this, or no, I was supposed to have this much money from that. No, there's no arguing anything in the world.
Absolutely. And the thing is, multiple desires. Like, let's say you have infinite money. You've got a massive shopping spree. Like, you'd be, just buy all these different things, buy that car, buy that house, buy that suit. But if you had infinite money, everyone wouldn't just do one by one. They would do, they would buy lots of things in at the same time. Same with like manifesting. Ignore the outside world. I really do believe ignoring and leaving the outside world completely is one of the best ways to manifest. And in your mind, you can fulfill any desire. So there's no point waiting for anything to manifest in the outside world when you should leave the world alone to begin with. So if you have a desire, fulfill it. If you have another desire later on the day, fulfill that one. If you have another desire, fulfill that one. Absolutely. You can fulfill infinite amount of desires in your mind through your imagination. Absolutely.
And when desire comes up again, it's just like drop right into it real quick.
Yeah. Fulfill it. Absolutely. I agree with that.
And that goes back into, let me see, trying to figure out how to segue it, because we got way off, but in a good way. We got off in
very good, yeah.
Because like I come up with these just for like guidelines, but it's like trying to think of other things. I probably should have wrote it down because I thought I was gonna have my phone, and I thought YouTube would have fixed the beta version now where we could actually do it off the computer. But you have your questions that you wanted to ask us. I know we have some coming up in the chat too, but I think Inked has been handling them. Because I was saying we talked about self-concept. You said you had a revision story too, right?
Yeah. So this is interesting. This is a good one. This is a nice one. So this was like a year or two ago. I was studying acting at university, and there was a scene I had to rehearse. So there was this girl. I wasn't really friends with her before. I knew her. I always felt like she probably didn't like me very much. I assumed that she probably didn't like me. But so I have to do this acting exercise with her. And she has to kind of hold my hand, touch my cheek or something. And she was very rude about it. She was like, oh no, I don't feel comfortable touching him. I don't want to touch his hand. I was thinking, this how rude. But anyway. And in the end, she refused to touch me at all. And I was like, well, that stings. So I'm walking home from university. I'm like, I could be angry. I could get all insecure and not be upset. I just imagined that she was really wanting, I'll do it. I'll hold his hand. I'll touch his cheek, whatever it was, Imagine the absolute opposite, that she really wanted to do, and she didn't mind doing it.
Yeah.
I forgot about it completely. I completely forgot about it. The next week, I was the same acting exercise. By sheer coincidence, I was paired with the same girl. And then she was like completely up. She was like, "Oh yeah, are you alright? Did I touch your hand? Did I touch your hand? Are you alright? Did I touch your cheek?" Like she was completely the opposite. From that day onwards, whenever I saw her, she was like complimenting me, being so polite and nice. And I was thinking, this is like a completely 180, and that just proves manifestation so real. And I mean, people will say, "Oh, one off, that's a coincidence," but hundreds of these stories have happened in my life.
Yeah.
The fact is, she did not want to literally physically touch me, and she was not comfortable with it. And then literally a week later, she was like, "Oh yeah, absolutely do it. You comfortable with it?" The same woman, literally a week later. And from that point onwards, I've only had nice conversations about compliments, like which I've never had ever before from her. So yeah, that's one of my favorite revision stories I've made.
That's awesome. That's one where I haven't made too many videos on revision, because I would say my greatest revision, which I think everybody kind of knows that one, was when I met my SP. I was going through a heartbreak and all that other stuff was happening. It's funny too, a side note with the Rains of Castamere, that house that burned down my grandpa was living in. Our family has had that since like the early 1900s, so it's like a traditional like family home, like they're all getting burned down. And I was like everything is falling apart in my life. So I'm like, okay, where did all this stem from? It stemmed from a negative assumption with this girl that I really liked. So I'm like, well, let me just revise it. We had a beautiful relationship for however many months. It ended. I was the one who ended it. I've always ended all of them. And then, like every girl I ever liked in my life, either ones who turned me down, or like went all the way back to my childhood. Not saying we need to do childhood work or anything like that, but I kind of did. Like I went all the way back to my first crush in grammar school and stuff like that. And I kind of revised all that stuff where it's like, yeah, we've all, and I felt really good. And it's like, I'm going to go to the gym and focus on myself. Now I don't need a girlfriend or anything. And that same day is the day my friend's dad went there. He was asking me about I never saw him there really. And I only spoke to my friend's dad actually once. And he was like talking to me like I'm his best friend and asking me about my chest hair. And he was, you need to go talk to someone. I'm like, I don't want to meet no one. And he points out SP, and like, I just seen her. It's just a girl, like no real interest in her. And I'm like, okay, cool. And, I'm like, cool, I'll go talk to her. And just because he was so adamant about it. And then, like, we talked, I was very disinterested. I didn't really care. And then throughout the gym, it was a pretty big gym. Like, I was trying to work on my shoulders just because it's kind of close to the chest. I didn't really know what to do. I'm kind of lost, but I'm just working on myself. I do the one machine, and like I do it a different way than everyone else. I sit on it backwards. It's facing this machine, and she's right there. And we just kind of smiled, made like a little joke or something. And then and then my friend's dad walks up and he starts trying to like set us up again. I'm like, oh, whatever. And then we go over here to this. I go to this other thing. She's over there too. And like, then purposely, I was kind of like going over here. And then I'm like, oh, wait, no, hold on. Go do your own thing. So I go do my own thing. And she followed me to that machine. And then we wound up talking more, start working out. I'm like, you know what? I haven't asked anyone on a date in a long time. Let me just, I'm always successful. And I asked her out. And then from there, it just hit the ground running. And it's been this whole 2.5 year journey since then. But that was like my only like real revision where I just kind of went and did that. I just felt it easier to change other circumstances. Oh, there's a big ass spider over here. Light it on fire.
Oh, that's class. Now, revision's a very interesting thing. Neville encourages we all should revise our days at the end of the day, and and I think revision's very effective. The good thing with revision is you don't really accept what will manifest, because you learn something in the past, and it's very, very easy to let go when you do revision. It's one of the easiest things to let go. You don't actually imagine, when you imagine something in the past, you're not expecting to happen in the future. That's what I do believe like revision is. I need to practice it more, to be honest. I like always imagining things in the future. But now revision is up there. Revision is a very powerful technique. And it's genius. It's absolute genius if you really think about it.
Yeah, and when even Neville talking about it, and the guy, Dr. Richard Feynman, telling him he was wrong about it, and then they prove it through the, what do you call it, the positron or something?
Yeah.
Where it was proven that you can, like, go back and change things, and it's like even Joe Dispenza and all those guys talk about, like, yeah, you could go back and you could change an event in your life, like before you got sick. Or what was the one revision story Neville told where like the guy had back?
Oh, sorry, you go.
Oh no, go ahead.
I know. I was asking that one vision story. For example, there's this one woman who
Yeah,
burns her hand, and she just revised. I think she revised. That she never burnt her hand, and she undid the injury. You know, it works with health.
yeah. It's is when you start seeing all the success stories and all the stuff, it's like it's like there's no way any of it's fake, and it's like I always tell people there's no failure, it's just lack of patience. And granted, it's like okay, my success and most people's success, and usually like Neville's like he said, everything arrives at its own appointed hour, and I've seen it usually happens pretty quick, but sometimes things take a while. But in the meantime, you can't just curl up and die and like, oh, I don't have it now, so give it to yourself in your mind, like you said,
Yeah.
then just leave it alone for a little bit and see what happens. And it will usually work out in your favor because you've given it to yourself so you feel good and you go about bettering yourself in every other aspect of life. Because it's like, okay, if I already have this, what else would I be doing? I would be making videos. I would be working on myself. I'd be building up my life and not waiting for something because it's already here. You can't.
That's very true. If the problem was fixed, like it was guaranteed, whatever problem you're facing, absolutely 100% guaranteed, was fixed, what would you be doing? Like, what would you be thinking, if it was absolutely guaranteed fixed? That's very true.
Yeah. And then I just saw he said that she doesn't do scripting. Feels like I don't script because it feels like work to me. But when I did, it was just once. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I don't know much about scripts, and I don't script myself. I have tried it out. What I did once with scripting is, it was actually, I think, the one time I mainly scripted, like when I say scripting, I don't do diary entries, but I did like a fake diary entry. It was like days after I discovered the law of attraction to begin with, and I wrote like, it was like the beginning of January 2021. Yeah, 2021. So I wrote like a letter to myself, like my future self, writing a year from now in like January 2022 about how my life is. And I forgot about it and actually looked at the scripts I wrote. It's weird because some of the wording is the exact affirmations I began to use only a month before. Crazy, right? But I was like, my life is absolutely amazingly beautiful right now, for example. And I
yeah,
wrote this thing in the January 2021, forgot about it, and like December time, I just started naturally doing like saying, my life is naturally beautiful in time for when I wrote that script. It linked with what I was thinking. And then I haven't used affirmation since.
yeah.
Crazy.
No, that's yeah. Then sometimes for me, even with like the affirmations, they'll start to feel like they'll play in my own head. Like people are like, do you listen to tapes or anything? I don't really do the tapes. Like if something comes up, like one that will play a lot is one from Neville. It's like, "Be still and know I am God."
That's
Or
cool.
I took one from. I don't really like the new Star Wars movies that they've done, but I love Star Wars. But the Rogue One, where Donnie Yen's character, the blind guy, he's like, "I am one with the Force. The Force is with me." I just go, "I am one with God. God is with me."
No,
And
that's very true. Yeah, you are.
and like that's how I'll go into a meditation too. I'll start saying that, drop a few other of them, other like things for self concept, and then some SP or money or whatever I'm focused on at the time. Get my mind in that, and then I'll just sit there, and then it's easier to play those scenes for me. And it's great
Absolutely.
to look back on the stuff too. Oh, here's a movie reference. I got this over my manifesting book,
Nice.
the Necronomicon. Um, I wrote one. I actually read it on a live a while ago, but it was like right after me and SP came back from our trip. Everything I wanted from SP, like I wrote down like a year prior to it, she was doing, and I was like, wow. And then like I did that, and then fears started creeping in about like, well, what if they don't stay this way? And it's like now
Yeah,
completely back on the first half. I wrote, I did like a T chart on the first half of this page. We're right back here, but it's like, okay, if it took a year before, it won't take a year this time. And it's like, you can just jump right back. How quickly things can change, good or bad. It doesn't matter. It's all your perception, whatever you focus on. If you could focus really strongly that, like, even that's like a general affirmation, like everything goes back to the way it was, or I get a reset. It resets.
yeah, absolutely. I agree. No. Do you do much scripting?
Um, honestly, no, I haven't done too much of it. I will sometimes write things down because I have the belief. One of my affirmations is because I'm a writer, everything I write comes true. And then I think about that Brendan Fraser movie, Inkheart, or whatever it was written in that book was coming true. So I'm like, doesn't matter where I write it, how I write it. Sometimes I'll do it as like a therapy thing, just to to write because I've written since I was young. So it's like I'll write here and there, but then usually I'll burn the letter because I learned that from another manifesting coach on YouTube, Ava, but she's not around here anymore. I think she deleted her channel, but she talked about writing a letter to the third party, to her SP, and to herself, and then she burned them. So I wrote a letter to me and fear and all the negative stuff in my life. Burned that letter. I wrote a letter to SP. I forgive you. Blah blah blah. You know, we could have this and that, and I know we will. And then I burned that one, and then went to the third party, which I had never seen his face or anything like that. But I was like, I wish you nothing but the best. Whatever issues you're having with SP now, which I didn't even know if there was any. I just said, whatever issues you're having, you're going to find it better in someone else. And you're going to have a great family with that person. And I guess I found out later my SP doesn't want kids. I don't really want kids. But he wanted kids, and she told him no. And he wound up with a girl who was apparently, he's older than my SP's 40. He's like 43. He wound up with a girl's 22 who has kids already and got her pregnant. And like they said, he's beyond happy. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I didn't even know the guy. I didn't intend anything for him. I burned that letter. And then like with that other girl I said had the drinking problem and stuff. Crazy enough, this new job I started, she works in that building. So I'm like the maintenance guy for the building. Found out her company is there. Ran into her the other day. She still lives over by my parents. She called me. I called her on accident. Her name starts with Li, and my SP was Lily. I called her when I was pulling up Lily's name on accident, but I'm like, I wonder if I'm still blocked. And it rang 2 or 3 times. I'm like, oh wait, I'm not blocked. And then she calls me back, and then I went over and I had a drink and a cigar with her, and we just talked and caught up. And I said it on the channel too. I'm like, if this girl didn't drink as much as she did or party the way she did, and was more into working out, I think it would have worked out.
Yeah.
She, in the past few months, she's been working out, self betterment, self concept. I'm like, oh wait, are you manifesting me? Like, because she did all this stuff, and I was like, wow, unintentionally, I just said, wouldn't that be wonderful if she was like that? She changed without me. Like, you only have to do it once, pretty much. Like,
yeah, you can definitely do a technique once and get results. Like, I really do like imagine lots of little scenes, and I can let them go and knowing if I did the scene right, it can manifest. I absolutely do a technique once and get results. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you proved too with that revision technique that it only takes a week. Not that doesn't necessarily going to be not telling anyone like, hey, it's just going to be a week and then you get it, but like how quickly the girl could go from I don't want to be around you to let's do this scene. I'm excited to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or my SP with I don't want to meet your family. Then situation setting up where she does meet my family and things pick up that way where she's like talking about having dinner with my mom and stuff like that. And it's like, wow, that was not you last week. And like how quickly things turned around.
Absolutely, it can be very quick. And yeah, I said I imagine that girl changing her attitude towards acting with me. Literally once. I wasn't even sitting down, I literally was walking home. And literally while walking, I didn't know how I imagined it. I maybe assumed it and the past was different. I maybe actually imagined the actual thing, like the actual interaction with her. I didn't know the exact technique I used. I was literally walking down the street, just did a technique, and yeah, that's all it took to manifest a person who literally changed that attitude within a week.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times we wind up working too hard on it, but the main thing we're really working on that delays it would be the self concept. Because when you have a concept of yourself, things are just flowing in because you feel deserving, you feel worthy, and most people don't feel worthy. I like to play the one. It was one of the movie tributes I played that's positive was from the Marvel movies with Thor, where he's like, I'm worthy, but like going through a breakup, you'll grow out your beard and not shave and just like get fat. And like I was feeling like that. And I'm like, oh, I'm so focused on myself again. And as soon as you do that, you're feeling good about yourself. Those techniques, they trigger, like everything just triggers in because your subconscious was already impressed by that one time.
Yeah, that's very true. You can impress your subconscious mind one time. And also, self-concept's important. It's very easy to manifest small things. I've manifested lots of small things accidentally without even realizing it. I say a thought, I'm like, oh, that'll be interesting if, and then it manifests. And it's easy with small things, but your self-concept is above those small things. So raising your self-concept will just improve how easy it is to manifest the bigger things.
Yeah, it's like what and another thing is like how like come in a weird way. Like I kept manifesting. I'm like I'm gonna have a free black motorcycle. Well, I wound up going. It cost to buy one cost 2,500. I talked the guy down to 2,000. I buy the bike, and then my friend tells me he goes, "This bike is worth 3,500. So if you go to sell it, you're going to make money on it." And I'm like, "So technically, if I were to sell it, it would have been a free bike. I would have got to experience it and then sell it and get a free
Right.
bike." I'm like, "I'm not going to sell it," but it wasn't a full manifestation. But it played out in a way where it's like technically it could have been.
Yeah. That happens a few times. Like technically, you could get the full manifestation, but you don't feel like you need it because you can get it, and absolutely. No, that's
Yeah,
very true.
yeah. It's like when you start knowing that you could actually have something, and it's like sometimes like there's things that I wanted that I could have bought, and I'm like, I'm just going to try and manifest them, and then like somebody buys you a gift or someone just like gives you whatever you're looking for.
Yeah, I've got like two stories about that. I'll say. Like for example, I love drinking tea. I'm quite British in that way, but I really do love my cups of tea. And I was saying to my mum once, I was like, I wonder because I mean, I don't drink coffee. I don't like coffee, but coffee has like twice the amount of caffeine than a tea bag does. I was thinking maybe I should just put two tea bags into my tea so I get the same amount of caffeine as coffee. And she was like, "Oh, that might taste horrible." I'm like, "Yeah, maybe I'll try it one day." The next day, I walk into a coffee or a tea shop, whatever, one of the
Yeah,
coffee tea shops, and I buy a cup of tea, and they accidentally put two tea bags in my tea, and that's never happened before. But literally, just then, I was just like saying, that'd be so interesting if I should maybe put two tea bags in my tea. And the next day, without even thinking about it again, asking about it, literally the next tea I drank was accidentally two tea bags put in by the whoever made the tea in the shop, and it was the same price as one tea. So
yeah,
that was a crazy story. I was like, whoa.
yeah. And it's like, and to you, it's like you said, when your self concepts up here, it's like I don't put the tea up on the pedestal. It's like, oh, how am I ever going to get tea with two tea bags in it? And then it's just like it's just down there. It'd be nice if I had it. I don't need it, and then there it is.
Well, it was ironic because earlier that day, because I remember the day quite well, I was reading some manifestation blogs. I was just reading about manifestation, and literally this blog was saying that you are literally God. And I mean, I already knew that kind of belief to begin with. But I was on the train because I took the train up to London, and on the way to the train up to London, I was thinking, yeah, I am God. Maybe I really am God. And I really just dove into that feeling for like an hour. And literally, I got that tea bag literally within like half an hour after I really dived into this feeling. So maybe the two are linked, because my self concept was so high in that moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's why it's like one of the things I try to do in the morning is like just hit it in the morning where it's just like right out of bed. It's like I don't know if you use gratitude a lot, but I'll use gratitude where it's like little simple things where it's like I'm grateful for my parents, my brother, my dogs, that I have a house with them, that I've got my own place now. I'm thankful I can afford this and that. Thankful I can walk, see,
Yeah.
even if I'm not happy with where my body is at times. Like I'm happy I've got the body of my dreams. I'm happy SP is my girlfriend, and this was at a time where it's like we weren't even talking. We was blocked everywhere. I'm like, I'm just happy that we're in a committed relationship. And then you wake up and you don't even open your eyes. You do all that stuff, and then you get up, and then it's like, oh, I feel like I have it, and then it starts to slowly fade. Nope, and then you just hit yourself with it a few more times. Go about your day. You forget about all that. You do enough times, it's like your mind is like impressed on it because it's like
To
tricky.
be fair,
Don't have is like buried into what you do have, and your subconscious is like, yep, we do have parents, we do have a house, we do have this, we do have that. SP and 11 commit. Hold on, wait a minute, and then it's like you hit it with more stuff already, and it's like, oh, subconscious is like thrown off.
yeah, I used to do a lot of gratitude, and that was my main way of manifesting. The first year, so the first year I discovered manifesting, I was all about gratitude. I think that's the only thing I really did, apart from small experiments I did just to prove manifesting is real. I can manifest specific things. Throughout the day, my main technique was just to be as grateful as possible for absolutely everything. And yeah, I saw a direct correlation between how happy and grateful I was. Because literally for the day, literally from the moment I woke up, I sometimes did half an hour gratitude, and I was just grateful all day. Just not thinking about the future, just grateful for what I have. And I did see a huge improvement in just how fun my life was. I think gratitude is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's one that I like to
Absolutely.
end my day with that, and I end my day with like whatever I desire going to sleep. And then throughout the day, it's like that's where you just drop into like whenever you feel a lack, drop into it. It's like already got it, and it just tricks the subconscious and puts you to where you need to be.
Yeah. The more gratitude you feel, the more grateful things are going to manifest. And that was so simple, you know. I remember I did an experiment for one solid month. I didn't try and manifest a single thing. I was just trying to be as grateful as possible. So I was going through my university. I was at university at the time, and I was literally 24/7. I literally the definition of gratitude. Literally, that's all I did. And my life, honestly, it was the end of 2021 when I did this. And November, December, when I was just focusing gratitude, it was like the two best months of my life. Like it was absolute bliss. It was like heaven on earth.
Yeah,
It was crazy. Like gratitude is a very good thing. I definitely encourage people to do it. Absolutely.
there's another thing too I was going to bring up about I don't know how much you ever listened to Florence Scovel Shin.
No, I don't know much about it at all. I've
Um,
heard of it.
I knew a little bit, like I've heard just from other people, and then like I listened to one of her audiobooks once at work. But one of her techniques, and I've used it before, but without knowing it until I heard it from her. I'm like, oh, I've done that. So when I first met my SP, obviously, like I said, I'm younger, so she wasn't comfortable coming to my house and didn't really want me at her house because of her kids being the same age as me and stuff. So um, it was like, well, where do we go? So we were like going to hotels and stuff. So I was like, well, what if I set up? I lived in my parents' basement. I'm like, what if I set up the basement? And she's like, oh, okay, is it messy? I'm like, yeah, it is. So I spent all this time cleaning. She goes, I don't think I'll ever come over there. Without her even saying anything, I cleaned and cleaned and cleaned the basement. And I'm like, with the thought, she's coming over. Oh, she's going to see this. I'm going to clean that up. She's going to see that. And then, like, literally the next day we were talking or something, like, you want to come over? And I'm like, my house is a little bit closer to your job if you want. And she goes, actually, yeah, I will come over. And she came over and we wound up just spending the night together at my parents' place. And I was like, and then she goes, "Wow, I could see it's still messy." Well, because like they have a lot of stuff down there. So I'm like,
Yeah.
hold I'm like, all this, I'm like, this looked like this before and like that. And then she goes, this, she goes, you actually did a really good job on the bathroom. I'm like, thank you. That was the one I was focused on. I said the bathroom. But like the parts where I really focused, like she noticed that. And then she wound up like spending the night, which was something she said she was never going to do, which is why it's like when people say, I'm never going to do this or never going to do that, don't like take that as anything. Like you've experienced it. I was
Absolutely.
never going to do something. They'll change their mind.
But you see it all the time in real life, even outside of manifesting. Lots of people say they'll do something and then don't do it, and lots of people say they would never do it, and they do it. So I've seen, it's so true. Like, I've seen in my own life, people's opinions change, absolutely. Don't take anything as certain yes or no.
Yeah, exactly. And
And
then
it can always change back. That's the thing. You can change their mind. If you go back to your old way of thinking, they're going to reverse back to their old way of thinking. So let's say, for example, Jonathan, yeah, if you think someone is really nasty and they're being nasty, if you think they're a really nice person, they'll change to be a really nice person. Then if you go back to thinking they're nasty again, they're going to change back. So
yeah,
nothing is permanent in the 3D world. Absolutely, it's like clay. It's like
yeah.
play.
The potter's house, it's all clay. It's like if you didn't like the way it was, you could just reform it. And it's like sometimes
Absolutely.
you don't even realize that the potter's changing it back when you're not paying attention. But it's like, oh, I start slipping up into old assumptions. And I think that's the one thing that I was able to prove with this channel a lot was it goes up and down if you're not permanently keeping yourself up.
Yeah, absolutely. And many people they get the goal, and this is really with beginners to be honest. But they get their manifestation, and then they just don't manifest again. Lots of people try and manifest only to get one thing or two things, and then they never do manifesting again. Manifesting should be a daily lifestyle that you do every single day, independent if you have everything you want or nothing.
Yeah, there's like even if it's just a little thing you're trying to do, and it's like and like with that's where the gratitude comes in. It's like most people get mad in traffic, like somebody cuts you off, almost hits you. It's like now you're mad, but it's like hold on, I just use gratitude. Thank God I didn't get hit. Oh, that would have been horrible. Imagine if that happened. Well, thank God. Well, I'm not going to
Yeah,
imagine too much, but it could have been way worse. Thank God for that. And then you just continue on your day. It's like grateful for every little thing like that, or like even the two tea bags, or like someone buying you a free cup of coffee. I know that's like a common
yeah,
one. Like, oh, just manifest coffee. It's like I do that one a lot. It's like somebody will just grab me one.
yeah.
There's always
So
stuff like. Let me see what
there's
else.
always something to be grateful for.
Yeah, and I think it's oftentimes like in a way we get too spoiled and like needing something that we don't really need. It's just something that we want, and it's I think that could come from lack of desires too. Like, well, I only want SP. I don't care. I'll give this up. I'll give that up. And even in the story of tearing my chest, I'm like, I don't care if there's a dent. I just want this one thing because you don't believe you could get everything out of it. Because I'm like getting rid of a deformity in your chest. It's like, oh, I will never get rid of that. But it's like, well, what's believable? Not needing surgery, not this, not that. And the doctor was certain too when I was there. He was like, "You're going to need surgery." He goes, "I've seen this before. You're going to need surgery." And then they called me back. They're like, "There's no surgery we can do." And I was like, "Oh my god." He goes, "No, I was so certain that we were going to do the surgery, but we can't." And I'm like, he goes, "It will just heal on its own." I'm like, "That's what I thought."
Yeah.
But it's like sometimes you don't ask for enough stuff. It's like be bold enough to. I think Neville says it. Bold in your assumptions. But let's see.
Yeah.
We talked about. Did we talk about everyone as you pushed out, or in so many ways?
No, we haven't.
Yeah, where it's like, well, it's kind of like what we were saying is like, everyone is you pushed out because we're all connected. But if you have like a common thing, I'll see is like, oh, I can get anybody I want, but not SP. Okay, well, that's an affirmation against it.
Yeah.
But you're like, you're just assuming that person has a negative perception of you. So like, you
Yeah,
can
that's very true. Like, yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, like everyone is like you pushed out, which really means like every belief you have about a person. It's like I think it's everything. I think it should be called everything is you pushed out because it's your entire world, it's just your mind pushed out, projected out. It's absolutely true. But it's also beliefs about yourself. Like if you believe that you are an unworthy person, you're going to people treat you an unworthy way, push yourself pushed out.
Yeah, no, it's exactly like I have an example on the channel about this guy I used to hang out with. He felt the whole world was out to get him, and he would then wind up taking actions to become that person, and he would just get very unlucky and stuff. And he hated to hear about manifesting, and I'm like, you're creating this, and I'm like, why is it that I think everybody likes me and I have a good time and everybody trusts me and everyone goes to me for advice? Well, that's just because you're Nick. There's no difference between it's all this. We're all God. We're all this is. It's a costume. But I have a better costume than you. Like,
Yeah. There's one guy I used to work with, and he honestly believed his ex, I think it was his ex-wife or girlfriend, I believe that his ex cursed him. This ex went to a witch and cursed him, and he says, I've been cursed. And he was so unlucky. Like, he was the definition of bad luck. Like, I worked with him for a few months, and just everything went wrong in his life. He was like, yeah, I'm cursed, I'm cursed, I'm cursed, I'm cursed. And little does he know that your entire world is your mind pushed out. So you're just going to get more things, bad things happening to you, believing you're cursed. Because everyone or everything is you pushed out. So if you believe I am cursed, the world will show that you are cursed.
yeah, and that's one of the things we gotta be careful too on TikTok. There was one where I had this small assumption that kind of grew. Was I'm like, well, what if somebody, ladies who are in the chat, um, there's they always like hype me up on here about how handsome I am and things like that. And I'm like, wow, I've never had this before, but my self concept was through the roof when I started the channel. So I was like, oh, I'm too flattered. I'm not worthy of this. And but then when you do it, it's like I would meet other girls too out in public, and it was like, well, what if someone's trying to manifest me and I lose my SP over this? And it's like, well, you have that assumption. And then I saw a TikTok where it's like a woman has put a curse on you, and I was like, that's all stuff I don't believe. But it's like when you got to be very like careful where like your subconscious is digesting all this stuff. So it's like it's been said to you, smash it right there. Don't even let it like. Don't just scroll past it and pretend it's like just bullshit.
Yeah. You've got to guard your mind. You've got to be very careful. People will say you're cursed. You can't get this because it. Tarot card readings are a big one in the horoscopes. Like, oh, my tarot cards and my horoscope said this. Like, you have to be very careful and realize that the entire world is your mind pushed out. To be extremely careful what you let into your mind. Because why is he's cursed? He's not cursed because someone has cursed him. Maybe someone has cursed him, but that would have no power if he didn't believe in it.
Yeah,
it wouldn't,
power.
You know?
The power.
I'll tell you a story.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a very interesting story when someone tried to kill me. Not literally, but in a way.
Yeah.
So when I lived in university, I lived with this person, and this person not like me at all. Like they generally disliked me.
Yeah.
So I'm there sitting in the kitchen. I'm not on talking terms with this person. This silent treatment, and this housemate of mine is talking, and they have a rock. Like there's a crystal they just bought, and my other housemates asked this person who dislikes me, saying, "What's this crystal for?" And the person who hates me says, "Oh, this crystal is intended to kill off anyone who's not supposed to be in my life." And bear in mind, I had massive arguments with this person like a week before.
Yeah.
So I'm there, like thinking, this person's trying to kill me from this crystal, and nothing happened. Like literally, I was absolutely fine. I was not ill. Literally, nothing happened because I already believed in manifestation. At this point, I knew this crystal has no power over me.
Yeah.
And literally a week or two later, the person is asked, "Oh, how is this crystal working out for you?" And the person says, "It's really no one I dislike has died." I'm thinking, that crystal has no power over me. If I believed it did, there could be problems, but it did not. So that's another thing.
No, that's
God forbid I believed that it would do something to me.
Yeah, no, it would. It was like Joseph Murphy had the one story about that where his nephew or something went to go see a psychic, and they're like, in 30 days you're gonna die. You should give away all your possessions. And the guy was perfectly healthy. 30 days later, his body just turned off. He just died.
Yeah.
And it's like because you gave power away to someone else. It's the same thing with like an SP or even a specific person could be a boss too. So it's like giving that power to they dictate everything over my life. No, they don't control anything over your life. You control your life. There's free will, but when they do what you want, it feels natural to them, and that's because you've selected that version of them, and that's where like the multiple. Without getting all in the science of it, it's like the multiple realities and stuff. There's like you're just jumping into that parallel universe where it's like only the best version arrives in my reality, and only good things happen to me. That's another affirmation I'll do like when I'm feeling bad. Only good things happen to me. So
yeah, that's a very good affirmation. I use that quite a bit. That's a very good one. But you've got to be careful with what you believe, and same with the psychic. You really believe that psychic has predicted his future, and he suddenly died 30 days later, at the exact time I believe.
Yeah,
the psychic said he would. And of course, that was a manifestation. That was a perfect manifestation, just for the wrong thing.
Yeah, and it's like that whole thing too. It's like going back to my story about the Red Dead thing, where I was like, "Oh, I'm Arthur Morgan, this and that." Like every like little like cough I had was tuberculosis. Then I get bronchitis, which is probably like the modern day closest version to it. And I'm like, where people were saying I should go to the hospital, but then I clicked back into manifesting. I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm perfectly healthy. I don't go to doctors. I don't need doctors. I always heal myself. I'm saying things like that. Towards the end of the 6 weeks, when people were kind of like, "Oh, you should go to a doctor," I'm like, "I'll wait it out. I'll wait it out because I don't need a doctor. I'm going to heal myself." And then before you know it, I start feeling healthy. And it's like going to the gym like that with bronchitis and stuff. It's like you can barely do anything. You're just sweating. But it's like each workout gets a little bit better, and like you're fighting through it, trying to live your life the way it was before this circumstance slapped the shit out of you.
Yeah, very true.
But and that kind of goes into the karma thing too. I wrote down karma, and kind of goes in this whole thing. It's like if you believe in karma, then it's gonna happen to you. If you believe that you've done bad and the bad thing has to happen to you, then it does. But
yeah, common instant subject, the golden rule. I know Neville says, you should never wish or even imagine bad things to other people, because to imagine bad things for other people allows you to be able to those same bad things to happen to you.
Yeah.
So that's how you protect yourself. Many people obviously that's how I do manifestation. I close my eyes and I imagine I have £1 million, for example. People will be moved in a way to get to help me to get that £1 million. Now, if good things or bad things happen to them, could be determined by how they view other people.
Yeah.
And, I think it's interesting with the golden rule. I think fairly safe and sorry. The Bible talks a lot about it too, and I believe the Bible is very accurate with manifestation.
Yeah.
So I don't believe it will be said for no reason at all. So I don't know. It's interesting though, because there are other people out there who don't really get the karma doesn't really affect them. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, I always tried to avoid it too. I'm like, I don't believe it works and stuff like that. But then, like when a bad thing happens, I'll go back, where have I not been the perfect person before? And then I start going through, it's like, oh, I'm paying for that. And it's like, no, don't even give that. I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
power away too. So I try to stop that. It's like, that's one of the dangers of like loving manifesting. And like, you start looking into other esoteric things and like interested in it and stuff like that. But in the end, it's like you realize everything is in here, as within, so without, as above, so below. Like it's all within you. And that's like,
yeah. It's very easy with manifesting to perhaps go down different routes outside of manifesting, especially religion. But I
yeah,
do believe there's a huge parallel between manifesting and religion, and they could be quite easy for some people who research about manifesting and then devote themselves to another religion, for example, which is not a religion based on manifesting. So you've got to be careful what beliefs you let in. Right? It's very easy to get back into the way of thinking of forgetting your mind is the ultimate power.
yeah, exactly. It's like because there's so many things out there that make it seem like that is not that it's outside of you. Everything's outside of your control. The negative circumstance that happened in your reality, you just change it now. It's like it doesn't matter how long it takes because you've already soon as like that's why I say creation's finished. Because as soon as you've made that decision, it's already done. It's your job just to live it until it plays out.
Mm. Yeah, that's very true. I completely agree with that.
Let me see if I could actually pull up on the computer. I think you could get to Instagram on the computer. I'll see if I could pull up those.
You can. I did send John Instagram the messages, so you'll be able to find him.
What's that? Is that on the computer?
Yeah, but I PM'd you the Q&A response I've got. You should be able to get Instagram messages on the computer.
Cool. Let me see.
I'm very sure you can.
Or you know what? I think I maybe saved it, so it might be in my cloud here. Because if I saved it in my pictures, it should be. And that's how long I've been on this computer. Scrolling down to my most recent ones.
Could you open up Instagram on your computer?
I'm not gonna lie, I forgot my password. Let me.
No worries. I could look on my phone. Could I, if I put the live to the side, would it kick me out?
I don't know. I was gonna see if I could do that, but if you want to jump off and then let me see
I'll
if I.
give you that.
I think you'll be good because I've jumped off before. He'll probably just freeze him for a second.
1 second. Yeah, I can get them up one by one. 1 second.
Because then, if I could jump off, I could just pull him off. Let me see what's going on in this chat over here. I love Will Smith is the first thing I see.
Right. All right. I look. I can. I don't know if what you saw there. If it just froze or something.
No, it froze you in the last thing that like when you swiped up. So.
All right, no worries. Yeah, and I've got a couple of Q&A responses from the Q&A I did on my Instagram. So the first one was someone to manifest. This is really for you because you know very much about SPs. Someone to manifest an SP. There are no contacts, and they have a third party.
And what was the other part? And there's a third party.
That was the first one. First question.
Out of no contact, and I saw someone else brought this up too. Inner conversations would be good for that. So that's currently the situation I'm in now, and I've been in there before, and I've been blocked, and there's been third party, and I've had like every situation that can be done under this. And the first thing you gotta know is it's not impossible, and a lot of people have gotten out of the situation, myself included. So with no contact, if you feel the urge to talk to them, you can talk to them right now. Everything is now. If that version of them exists somewhere in the quantum field or the quantum realm, then it does. And like for me, it's like probably what you're experiencing too is like there's two versions of your SP. There's the shitty version and the good version. The shitty version is the one I'm not talking to you right now. You can still talk to them, just like what I used to do was when I was working this job I hated and like going through a hard time all over. I'm like the only good part of my day was being able to text her, and when she was gone, it's like I would just continue my conversations as if they were normal. So I'll be like, "Oh, babe, guess what happened today?" And then in my head, "Oh, what happened? I had to deal with this shit today. How about you? How was your day?" I don't know what's going on in her life, find out about her life, and like just really basic, general, like good stuff. And be like, I can't wait to see you this weekend. And then the weekend comes and you're not with them. It'll be like, hey, I hope everything's going good with you. I know you're not feeling well this weekend, or I hope you enjoy your vacation because now there's a reason, a nice reason to justify why they're not with you. And I'm going to go out and do this today. And it's all this in your head. Sometimes picture a phone, maybe picture sending the message, or just feel that conversation as if they're always with you. That was like a big thing to help me in no contact. And it's something that like when you realize it, it's like that person's never really gone. Or to quote Nicolas Cage from the movie with him and Pedro Pascal, The Weight of Massive Talent. It's like we're back. Not that I ever went anywhere, and it's like your SP's gone now, but not like they ever went anywhere because they're still here. You can still talk to them. So inner conversation, I would say, is probably the best technique for that. And then whenever like knowing your end desire with them, also knowing exactly what you want with them, and going to sleep as if they're sleeping in your bed every night, even though it kind of contradicts. It's just feeling them with you. So it's like every night I go to sleep, they're in my bed. When I want to talk to them, I can talk to them. Like everything's there.
Nice. All right. I'll get the next one up.
All right. Let's see what's going on here in the chat again.
All right, so the next one is, how do you feel deserving of your desire? I do believe self-concept. It's easy to manifest a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, £5 because or $5 wherever you live, because you feel deserving of that. It's simply just self-concept. But I think that's the main one.
No, I would agree with you on that too. It's self-concept, and it's like, what would you do to feel deserving of this? Like, not changing who you are in a degree, because it's like obviously there's something that SP liked about you before, so emphasize that part. Like my SP liked the fact that I worked out and she worked out, so I would just be killing it in the gym every day, and every time I'd work out in the gym, be like, she's going to be so happy when she sees my body again. She's going to do this and do that. Like she'll be like so impressed by me when she sees this, and I get new clothes. She's gonna be impressed by these clothes, and like stuff I knew she liked that I also had an interest in. Like same thing now, like no contact, but I bought a motorcycle and she loved motorcycles, and we were supposed to ride together. So I picture when I'm riding, her holding onto my back and like going for a ride, or her bike working again, and we're riding together and things like that. So it's like you just build your self concept. You just build your self concept into um, becoming the person that you feel that's worthy of having SP, but it's hard too because it's not putting the weight on them. Like
yeah, you can also I think the self concept. If you want your SP to like whoever, doesn't even have to be an SP here.
Yeah.
If you want someone to really respect you, love you, think you're worthy, you've got to view yourself in that way. I saw a really good post the other day, a manifesting post, and there was it's like a video, like it's an article basically about these two people who've been married together for like 60, 70 years. They're soulmates, they love each other. And someone commented saying, how do I manifest that type of love? And the person who created this post said, love yourself, and that other person is going to be a mirror for how much you love yourself. And that's very true. You've got to view yourself as deserving, independent of what other people think. You've got to view yourself. And self-concept essentially is how you view yourself. It's self-concept. It's, how you view yourself. So no, absolutely, you've got to, and it might not happen overnight. It's a muscle, I believe. Build your self-concept like you would a body, a strong body. Work it out every day. I think self-concept is very important. View yourself as being good enough, and and you'll be deserving for your desire, or you'll feel deserving for your desire.
Yeah, it's like what was that? I had another point too. Oh, like my friend Tone said, he's from Goddard Manifesting. He said that he goes, one of the things when he was trying to get his SP back was he would take himself on dates, and so he goes, go out to eat alone or go do fun activities alone. And I know too, it's like it can be weird to go by yourself. Like I would never really want to go eat by myself, but you do it, and then like one of the times, actually, this is funny because the one time I got back with my SP, she would never go to this bar I used to go to. It was not her style or anything like that. But when I talked to her friend at the gym, when that whole big sequence happened, her friend's like, no, you know what? Let's set this up. She wants to dress up and go out tonight. How about we go out, and I'll take her to the bar that you always go to. And they were going there. She goes, "Oh, this is Nick's bar. What if I see him there?" And the week before that, I didn't even anticipate. Like her friend just kind of like came up with the idea, and I just jumped on it. A week before, I was sitting at that bar. I was feeling bad, but trying to use my manifesting ability. So I pictured the one story from Elmer. Um, it was the one you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
It was Neville's student who pictured he's on the podium and he sees his hands, and like he was trying to prove the other guy that, yeah, you can manifest anything. So I pictured my hands on there, closed my eyes at the bar. Everyone's partying, having a good time. I'm just picturing this bar, and I look right next to me. I feel her sitting next to me, and literally we're sitting at the bar. There's a one table only in that area. It's right behind us. We wound up sitting at that table on a packed bar, sitting there getting back together that night. When she walked in, and like she was crying, she was happy, like everything wound up working out for the best. But it happened at that same bar where she said she'd never go to. But I saw that. I don't know how I got deviated on that story, but I just thought about that right now.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's very true. It's feel deserving and feel desired by working with that concept as simple as that. Like someone actually put a comment, they said, my self-concept is everyone loves me, and even people who hate me love me. That's very true. Like, if you really love yourself, not even, it doesn't even have to be everyone loves me. If you just love yourself and other people give you love, that's just a reflection, like a mirror. It's just a reflection, a symbol of the love you feel for yourself, you know? So absolutely, it's just, I think deserving is linked with how you view yourself.
Yeah. Oh, wait, that's awesome right here too. I just see my SP just messaged me.
Yeah,
I
congratulations.
saw that you were in the chat last night too, so I'm happy to hear that you're in a very positive mood. I would say do what feels natural. Like I can't tell you to like do no
Yeah,
or to do. It's your situation, so whatever feels natural is the right move. Like one of the times I remember, this was maybe the third time I manifested her back in like the first time I really had feelings for her in this. Um, I messaged Akshay from Manifesting Monster. I don't know if you know who he is, the guy from India with the big beard. He walks.
no.
I messaged him. He was doing free coaching at the time because he was just starting out, and he gave me some advice. I followed it. A couple of days later, it was already stuff I was doing. So then I wound up getting a message from SP, and I ignored it for like a day or two. I'm like, I ignored it for a day or two. I go back and blocked. I'm like, oh, I'm blocked. What do I do? What do I do? And then I realized that's where my "I can't fuck this up" motto for the channel came into being, because then I saw I wasn't blocked on Facebook still. I messaged and said, "Hey, I saw you messaged me, but now I can't see it. Like, you must have blocked me again. Are you good?" And then she's like, "Oh, I just wanted to catch up." And this was a time where I was manifesting on a time crunch too. It was
Mm.
October 2021. I was trying to be with her by Halloween, and this was like 2 weeks before Halloween. But we were no contact, blocked everywhere, and she was back with a third party. Well, with the same ex that like she would leave me, and I didn't know that that's what was the reason. I just knew she would leave. And next thing I know, she messages me back on there. We're going back and forth. We're flirting. Things are going good. And then I was like, "Do you want to hang out this Friday?" We hang out Friday. We go to a pumpkin patch and stuff like that. And then we spend the night together. And I was like, "Want to go get some costumes and go to a Halloween party together?" Which was on Saturday. I think Halloween was a Sunday. We wound up going Halloween shopping, spent the day together, spent the night together. The next day is Halloween, but we didn't go to the party. We just spent the whole time in a hotel room. But then I realized, I'm like, "Is today Halloween?" She goes, "Yeah." I'm like, manifesting. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's like it happened on a time frame too. But it was, yeah. That's why I can't tell you what to do. Just know you can't fuck this up. And even if it leads back into like, I mean, look at me now. It's like I blew up my entire situation by breaking all the rules. Does it mean that I'm done?
Yeah.
Does it feel
I've
com-
actually got this advice for this person. This is
yeah,
very important. No one talks about it. So, first off, I agree with what you said, which is do what is natural. Do what is natural. But another thing is, this might be, I don't think people really expect what I say, but you might be very excited now that you've got your recipe. But do be very careful to not get attached to the physical world now. I've
yeah,
made that mistake before. You go, oh, I'm going to get my SP, I can't wait. Like
yeah,
when Neville wanted to go to Barbados and he got the tickets, and that's symbolic to you now when you got your message and from your SP. When Neville got his ticket to go to Barbados, he ran to his teacher and the teacher said, no, you are still in Barbados.
yeah,
So, you might be very excited. That's good. Just calm down, bring yourself to balance, and get back in the frame that's already done. Don't get too attached to the message because that's not the end you want.
yeah. The end you want is to be in that loving, committed relationship, probably. And it's like right now, it's like this is like don't treat it like the trophy and the end all be all. It's just like
Yeah, yeah. It's not
great.
the end. It's not the end.
right back on the pedestal at this point. You can now, it's like,
Yeah, it's not the end, and it's back on the pedestal, and now you're gonna be like, oh yeah, it's working. I can't wait to get it. Like you're gonna go back to that old way of thinking. So just do what you've been doing mentally. I don't know what you've been doing mentally, but do what you've been doing before. And to get to this point, just be careful, because I've actually messed up quite a few manifestations myself. By everything going right, I get out to the end state, and then I get stuck back into getting tapped in 3D, putting things in pedestals. You know, as that dude has said to Neville, you are in Barbados now. Don't think about going to. But yeah, fine, boss.
Yeah, it's perfect. And you got it too. Everything is mental. Yeah. So remember, you can't fuck this up. Just be calm about it and realize that your desire is already yours. You have already achieved it.
I'm going to move on to the next one. I'm going to quickly go to the toilet as well, all right?
Yeah. Sounds
so
good.
I'll be 2 minutes.
Sounds good. Let me answer the comments. Let's drop the phone. Don't give too much importance to the message. Yes. I'm missing a lot of stuff. I agree with Ink too. Yeah, just reply as if it's natural. If you feel natural to reply, reply as if it's someone who's not that important. Or I mean, they're important, but like she said, it's natural. Let's see, how many do we have? Any other questions here? There's a lot of comments. Dion says Nick and who's Chanel in their suits are doing more power meeting over manifest than they look like they could be cataloged for. Oh, oh, it's supposed to be the other channel. Yeah, his name is the Second Man. So yes, we could be. Great question. How do you work on your self concept? Well, working on self concept is putting yourself first, Dion. Like what is important to you comes first. Even if you got SP back in your life, SP is no longer the end all be all. It shouldn't be the end all be all anyway. It's like in the times where you are apart, be excited because this is your last bit of like going out. You're going out and doing what you want to do, knowing SP's on the way. It's like, in a way, if you want to use fear to your advantage, one of the times too, I would be like,
all right.
I'd be like, oh, there you go.
So the next one is health healing, and I mean, you can talk about this yourself with the muscle you tore, but someone wants to know how to manifest health.
How to manifest health? That one is, it's going to be, like I said, I would have affirmations like, oh, I don't need to go to the doctor or stuff like that. Obviously, I'm not advocating not to go to the doctor though. Like that's just personally for me. If I was very sick or in an accident or something, I'm not going to be like, I'm manifesting myself back to health. I will go.
Yeah, of course.
But I would just start having that assumption and like trying to get into the feeling state of like how your body would feel if we're already healthy. Like when I wanted my mom to be healthy, and like this is manifesting on behalf of another, and she was at the hospital, it was like through tears and stuff. Me and my brother did the I remember when technique. I remember when she was sick. It's nice she's on vacation now. Thank God she lived. She needs a vacation by herself, spending the weekend at the spa. But it was like through tears and stuff. Your mom is sick, and we didn't really know what to do. So that was manifesting on behalf of another. For myself, with the chest injury, was I was picturing myself back in the gym lifting weights. I was afraid, but I was just visualizing it. It's like, how do I have the full range of motion? I pictured that boss who didn't like me was excited because he thought he would be able to fire me. Like, oh, so you don't need surgery, so you don't, and like very upset. So I would say, how would you feel if it was done? Or pick a person in your reality and imagine them like Neville would do. Imagine them congratulating you on your good health now. So I would say that'd probably be my best advice for that.
Yeah, I would say, I've never really had any health issues, so it's very hard for me to talk about manifesting health, which I've never really had to do. But what I would do is just close your eyes and imagine the feeling of being healthy. How would you feel if you were healthy? And, that's what Neville says, feel what it would be like to be healthy, get the feeling of health back, and manifest your circumstances. It's like you would manifest anything else. I wouldn't say it's any difference.
Yeah, it was like Joe Dispenza talks about this too, where he had all his back destroyed from getting in an accident, and they said he'd never walk again. So he pictured himself putting his back together, and if he'd lose focus, he would do that again. Now he walks around, he does all like he works out and stuff like that. But he was paralyzed though. It's almost like the guy from The Secret who was in the plane crash. He mentally body back together. And he envisioned walking out by Christmas, and he did walk out by Christmas. So it was under a time crunch too, putting an entire broken body back together. And like you just pick step by step. I don't know what the health issues are to it. And like you said, we're not health experts or officials, but
Yeah.
I could tell you like what I would do in that situation would be whatever area or part of you or is ill, imagine that part better, or go right to the end, which would be if you were healthy, what would you be doing if you were healthy? Would you do like nature? Would you go on a walk? Would you go walk around the mall and go to a store or something? Or like, what would you do um, if everything was already healthy?
Yeah, yeah. There's lots of success stories you can find on the internet from people who've actually manifested health. But I would feel like you would manifest anything else, essentially.
Yeah.
I'm going to find the next question.
Yeah. I see it getting blown up here.
All right. The next one is manifesting friends if you have none and don't like joining groups. What I would say personally is, manifest like you would anything else. But what I would personally do, there's been times I've never not had friends, but there's been times where social life could be better. So what I would potentially do, or what I have done in the past and seen evidence very quickly, is I'll just assume and imagine I have a really fun social life. What would the feeling be if right now my social life is amazing?
Yeah.
That's what I would do, and I've got very, very good results from doing that. Yeah.
No, I think that's a good way to do it. And I was thinking about this the other day too, where it was actually funny. The day I messaged you was the day I'm like, I wish I had more acting friends because I've kind of like since I've stepped away from it for a while, I'm like, I really wanted this acting, and then I was looking for collabs for this channel, and then I ran across you, and I'm like, oh, he's also an actor, and then we started talking, and I'm like, oh, at the end, you just made another acting friend right now. So it's like, but I wasn't looking for an acting friend at the moment. It was an intention, but I was looking for something else at the time. And it's like, oh, here's someone else who does acting. And then I found out on the channel a couple of the viewers, and I'm not sure if they're here today, are also actors, but they're out in Europe as well. So it was kind of cool to see that. And for myself, it's like I've never not been without friends, but I've, like you said, it could be better. Like right now, I have a very small circle of like 2 or 3 people that I talk to. Then there's the people online that I talk to on a regular basis, and everyone in the Mystic Manifesting family. So I I would say from there like a 3D action if you felt you needed to, and if it felt normal and natural. I knew a guy. He used to go to the bars that we went to, but he would go by himself, and I was like, why is he here by himself? Like if he had no friends. He's one of the most popular guys in the neighborhood now. He would just post up by the thing by himself, start light conversations with people, and go. And another thing would be join a club in something you're interested in. When I like in this similar situation before, I went to Second City and signed up for acting classes, and I met a bunch of other people who were actors back then. So it's like if you have to do 3D action and it feels natural to do, put yourself in a situation where you'll be comfortable there, and then you're going to meet like-minded people, or even like something like the gym too is like if you go to the gym with a negative assumption, like there are people who are afraid they're going to get bullied or people are going to say something to them, and they're the ones people are talking shit about. But you go there, most people have the intention, like you see someone struggling, they're going to reach out to you and be like, hey, be careful, you don't hurt yourself, and then you end up making a lot of friends. I've made a lot of friends through just going to the gym. I thought we lost you for a second. I was like, oh, he left. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Continue what I was saying, sorry.
Oh yeah. No, that was pretty much it. Yeah. It's just like if you can and it's natural, and put yourself in a situation where you would be comfortable doing that, because that's going to build your self concept too. Whether whatever your hobbies are, or even do like one of those. Like my friend goes, he's living in the middle of nowhere. He does like these little painting classes or whatever with a bunch of middle-aged women, but he makes friends with them, and they introduce him to people in the community. And he's like, when I went to visit him, he's like one of the most popular people in that little town. So you could do that. Or I've heard a story too. Someone tried to manifest an SP, but she never left her house. Out her SP was the guy who moved downstairs. So I was
crazy.
So it's like you don't necessarily have to do anything, but it would help with your self concept, I think, to go and put yourself out there. Because if you don't have many friends, it means you're really not putting yourself out there too.
Yeah. And the person said, I hate joining groups. The thing is, sometimes you have to do things you dislike because it's the bridge. Like with my older story, with trying to manifest the perfect. So for me to create the best movie at university, I don't mind reaching out to people asking them to act my movie. I really would rather they come to me, but I had to do it. I'm happy I did it because it was the best way.
Yeah,
Sometimes, maybe joining a group is the best way, but don't worry about the middle. Go to the end. What I would do and have done in the past is I would literally imagine it's a month from now. I've had such a busy month socially, truly feel that belief to be real until it feels completely real, and then just go on my life. And I've seen lots of evidence. Like, even the other day, it was like a couple of days ago, this weekend, I was a bit bored. I wanted to go out. Lots of my friends were busy. And I just imagined I was such a fun, sociable person. And then I get a call like 10 o'clock at night. And my friend's like, oh, come around my house. He lives like 30 seconds away. And I
yeah,
would go to his house. He's like, it was me and three other lads. And he said to me, you're the only person we invited. And it was such a good night. And, just have to feel what you would feel if you had a really busy social life. That's really it. And
yeah,
do what you need to do that. Like, if it's joining a group you don't like, but you know that it's the best, most logical approach to get more friends, then do it.
yeah, yeah. I would say I would do the same thing. It's like otherwise, then I mean, if you really want to walk in faith and distrust, one day you go out to a walk or go to the store or something, and you meet someone and they start the conversation. That could happen too. Like that's going from the full on manifesting point. But it's like if you're really not saying desperate, really want to make something happen now, then do that because it's like, and then with the assumption that people are going to love and accept me in this area, because I think the big reason for not wanting to be in a group is you feel you might not be accepted there.
Yeah, that's another thing. Also, you say you hate joining groups. If you really believe that you're God and you can manifest anything you want, manifest yourself that you love joining groups. I know that's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah,
Trust me. But you could. Well, why don't you want to join a group and then think about ways to fix that? Like for example, with YouTube. I'll admit it. When I first made my YouTube channel, I enjoyed doing the videos, but I found the videos very hard to make, very stressful. And I could easily say, oh, I'm not going to do YouTube because I find the videos really stressful to make. No, I literally found a way to make the videos more fun, more enjoyable. Getting a green screen was one of the ways I did that, so I could film any time of day I want.
yeah,
And I found ways to make YouTube more enjoyable because I can manifest anything I want. I can manifest myself making YouTube videos more fun. You can do the same making friends.
yeah, exactly. Sometimes it just requires a little bit of a push and 3D action, but in the end, it's because it's going to feel natural in the end. Because if you have that self concept, it will feel natural.
Yeah.
So,
No. We're going to go to the next question.
yeah.
All right. The next one is how to manifest when your negative surroundings affecting your mindset.
Well, that one's a hard one because I've struggled with it, but it's like I've overcome it in the past. It's like when everything is like just slapping you in the face again and again, it's like if you can get off social media, like I said, like I have a presence on social media, so I have to be on here, but I don't have to be scrolling. I just have to get
Mm.
on, post, and get off. You don't have to look for that stuff, and you don't have to
Yeah.
look for things like I've talked about this before too. You go on TikTok too much, you might wind up in a red pill society where it's I don't know if it's a guy or girl asking or like, uh,
Yeah.
yep, she's on the channel. She said there's a thing called pink pill, which I didn't know about, like women against men.
Yeah.
So it's like you got all this stuff coming after you, and so it's like don't let anything hijack your mind.
Yeah, what I'm going to say with the negative surroundings is you need to do the techniques in order to feel better, independent of the outside world. I know I've stressed this so much on my YouTube channel, I've said a lot here. That's so true. You do a technique to fulfill your desire. You don't want to become dependent, sorry. You do not want to become dependent on the outside world. When your only goal is to fulfill your desire and to get the feelings you want to feel unconditionally, the outside world will no longer affect you. It's what you care about the outside world. I said hundreds of times maybe. Leave the 3D alone. Your goal is not to manifest anything in a 3D reality. It's to change yours in the mind.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's the best way to not let the negative situations affect you. It's not your goal to change the 3D world. It's your goal to change your internal state.
And then find things. I just thought about this too. Find things that distract you, but not doing them to be distracted. Doing them because you actually like them, even if
Yeah.
up there, like, oh, you like hanging out with your friends, but you're kind of depressed. You don't feel like it. Do it anyway, with the best.
Yeah, I mean, whatever problem you have in your life, do a technique to fulfill your desire and feel the problem is fixed. And if you do it right, you will naturally, and it's a natural thing, you will naturally be less reactive to outside situations. It will naturally happen. As Neville said, when you change your state, naturally your reactions to life change. So if you change your state, you will be less reactive and react differently to the negative situations.
Yes, exactly. I agree with that.
But also, you've got to learn when you say my mindset is affected by the outside, by my negative situations. You got to, and this takes time, I think, but you got to learn how to make your mind not reactive to anything in the outside world. Because if you are reactive to the outside world will have power over you. You've got to have power over the outside world. So, your mindset should be good. Should be good, even if your world's very good or very bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Oh yeah.
Did you say what you didn't say?
Yeah, I'm pretty much tapped out on that one too. We covered them. We covered it.
Yeah. All right. The next one is how to be consistent and how to have a strong belief system while manifesting. I believe in the belief system. You develop a belief system about manifesting through testing. As you said before, it's live. You believe manifesting is real through practical testing. So I would encourage that person to test the law, test manifestation out until you strongly believe it's real, manifest small things until you believe it's real. That's the belief system done. And be consistent. That's just being disciplined. It's practicing manifesting as a lifestyle every day, even when you don't feel like it. And I mean, I'm not a master of discipline yet, and there's many other teachers of discipline. But you got to be disciplined with manifesting, like you do with eating healthy, going to the gym, and stuff like that.
Exactly.
What about you?
Yeah, no, I would say the same thing. It's like it breaks down to a discipline, and like what was a big breakthrough for me was a mini manifestation list. Like hearing certain people say certain things too. Like I was intentionally really trying to test the law. Like my hair was like I grew my hair out. It was like long and crazy, and I wasn't putting any product in it or anything, and I looked like a bum. But I get compliments on my hair and things like that, or I get like specific things, and I was getting complimented on it. But I'm like, I know it looks bad, but I would do stuff like that on purpose to like test it, and because my self concept was so high, I'm like, okay, that's a sign. Self concept is high, and then if you want to do the angel number route, which a lot of people do, and it just naturally seems to pop up, and then you say like I'm going to see this, and when I see this, that means this is coming, and it's like even if you don't see that other thing, it's like, okay, boom, there's that, or you just pick other little things that don't mean anything. Like I said a pink car, chrome car, and like colors you don't usually see, old 1920s or something. And I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to see that at though. I go to my parents' house and my brother's watching a TV show about old cars. And I'm like, the car I was picturing is the first thing on the TV when I see it. And then like the first day I did that thing, Ink sent me a picture of a chrome car being towed. And so it's like in whatever ways it pops up, but it's like, man, that's such an unnatural, weird way. Like my brother didn't know what I was doing. Ink happened to see the car after I did the live stream. So like, there's always like just those little things are going to break it through for you, or like, oh, I intend to find some money, or whatever you get, that's going to really turn you up.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. Yeah, develop the strong belief by experience, testing with small things, and be consistent. That's just being disciplined.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next one.
Yeah. We've been having some good chats too, guys. We had a lot of people coming in.
All right, so this is the last Q&A question I've got, and that is, I assume they're trying to manifest a person. They're trying to manifest a person they feel like they have a really deep connection with. I think it might be someone they've already met. But they're trying to manifest someone with a deep connection, but it's taken ages.
That's a hard one. Like we have people here who've been like manifesting. It's taken a long time. Now, there's two ways it could go, in my own opinion, and from what I've seen. Like for me, it's taken a long time when I was wavering and I was double-minded. But when I buckled down and I would, quote unquote, as everyone knows, go balls to the wall with my manifestation, and nothing is getting in my way, nothing is stopping me, then it happens like that. Very easy. It shouldn't take that long, but at the same time, like Neville said, if it be late, then wait, for it shall surely arrive at its own desired time. And sometimes giving up on it, not without giving up or like detaching from it. One of the times manifesting an SP, I was so burned out, I just kind of took a deep breath and looked up and I said, all right, God, I'm like the higher power source, God above me and whatever's in me. I said, I've done everything I was supposed to. I know I did. Just, I'm willing to wait however long it takes what I want. And I said, no matter what comes up, this is what I want. I will wait. And literally within like a week or so, like that's when it happens. Maybe that could forward to is just like the detachment from it, knowing that you've done the work. Because like sometimes you want to keep doing the work because you feel that doing more stuff will get it here faster. Sometimes realizing you've done the work and just like, all right, it's already done.
What I would say to this is, well, the main thing I've seen this question is, but it's taken ages. You are conditioning your fulfillment at the end of the day. You're conditioning your fulfillment. I don't think, like, if I want something, I would close my eyes and imagine I have it and feel that I have it until I truly feel no desire for it anymore. So if you're still there waiting, you're conditioning it, and your world will show that you're conditioning your fulfillment, which is just going to delay your manifestation. So just learn. This is a big thing. Don't try and manifest anything in the world. Your goal is to fulfill your desires and fulfill them unconditionally. If it's taken ages, you're conditioning your desire. That's all I'll say. Stop conditioning, and your only goal is to fulfill that desire in imagination or by using imagination.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. It's like just keep giving it to yourself now because, like I said, every time I got my SP back, I already felt we were what we wanted, what I wanted it to be before it happened. And when it happened, it came hard and it came fast. So it's already done.
Yeah.
I think we went. My back's hurting. It's like 3 hours we went. That was the last question, right?
Yeah, that was the last question we can.
Yeah, let me see if I know the chat was kind of blowing up, but I think we got most of them.
Yeah, we could ask just before we end. We can ask people if they have any questions they want to ask us now.
Yeah. If you guys want to ask us too, like because we were talking, so we missed a lot of whatever. If you guys are still here and have questions, I know a lot of people left at this point, but you'll re-see it later.
Yeah. Any questions now you want to hear before we leave? Shoot us with some.
And then I'll share your social medias. I'll make a community post for yours. If you guys are looking, think of manifesting as an order at Starbucks. Put in your order and then chill. You paid for it. An existing desire was currency. Yes.
No, very true, very true.
If you guys want to follow the Second Man, that's his YouTube name is the Second Man. I will share that, and he is Neville Goddard Instagram. But I'm gonna have to get the exact link because there are like 3 different pages that are like Neville. One's like Neville Goddard. One's Neville Goddard Manifesting Success. One's just, I think you're just Neville Goddard, right?
My official Instagram page is called Neville Goddard Manifest. Neville Goddard Success is another person. I know who they are now. I mean, I know of them. I don't know them personally.
Yeah.
But I never got to manifest. It's all one word. That's my Instagram page, and my YouTube is the Second Man.
Yeah. So I'll put both of those in like a community post, and then I'll make this live too. So
yeah. There was one question there. What's your biggest manifestation? For me, I think it is understanding manifestation to begin with. I feel like I've manifested understanding manifestation. I struggled with manifestation for quite a bit of the start. But I kind of like did manifestation techniques to learn more about manifestation. I think it's the job I have now. I have a very good paying job. And that was relatively easy to manifest, but I think it's the job I have now. I think it's my Instagram. I have around like 15,000, a bit less than like 14,000 followers there. I think they're my biggest manifestations at the moment, but it will grow in time. What about you?
For me, I would say the SP stuff has been the biggest, and then with acting and all that stuff, was always very hard for me to grow my audience, and putting the law into it. It was like when I was doing my comedy stuff or this channel, like when this started taking off, I'm like, oh, it can take off. And then like the other stuff took off on my other channels. So it's like I would picture numbers on the channel like slowly climbing. And and right now I would say probably the biggest manifestation would be undo what was going on with SP and build this channel into something where I could go full time into this. Um, just making content every day, a video, 2 videos every day. And that would probably be my biggest as of now. Like someone asked last night what was my scariest, and it was probably what I'm working on now, because that's so many people watching at this point. Understanding. Yeah. Let's see. Someone said, what is your daily routine for manifesting up for a desire?
Well, my daily routine, as much as I would love to have a really strict one, it's kind of messy at the moment, but I do live life very in the moment. Whenever I feel desire, I would do a technique to fulfill that desire. Or I love doing a technique to fulfill that desire and feel what it truly would feel like I was in the future, having that desire. And I do self-concept work at the moment, and I'm finding self-concept work. But it's something I'm very diving deep into at the moment. But no, really just every moment, if I feel desire, I fulfill it. And that's pretty much it. What about you?
Yeah, that's probably the best thing to do. I try to do the same thing. My stuff is I wake up with gratitude. Like that's the first thing I do is try to do gratitude, and then like say some intentions. Like Inked is the one who turned me on to intentions on this stuff. So I would say I intend like today is going to go like this, or I'm just grateful for something that hasn't already happened. But then I'll go about when I'm at the gym. I'll do the gym for self concept and eating right for self concept. If I get a desire like you, I'll try to fulfill it right away. If something that is plaguing me, like where I feel like it's taking too long, I just try to grant that to myself in my head and go right to an end scene. And then if I feel like doing another one for fun, like for fun or something like that, that's very rare. I'll do that, but mainly it's like right before bed, I pick the desire that I want. I go to sleep. If I have any that like maybe money or something, like I can use more money, I'll be like, I'm so thankful I have that money. So like gratitude from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep. Sats whenever I can. I've been trying to do more at least once a day. But I know Neville said pick one time, but for me it kind of jumps around.
Nice. Let's see.
What's the quickest manifestation? How did you manifest?
I don't know. Quickest, like I don't know. I've had manifestations happen within a day, like less than a day. Generally smaller things, but I never really think about time because the thing is, I said earlier, I do so many techniques throughout the day. I'm just constantly, whenever I have a desire, I will impress my subconscious mind, do a technique. So I'm never really thinking about. I try my best not to really try and manifest anything into the world. I'm just worrying my internal world at the moment. So I don't know the answer to that. The quickest manifestations I've seen happen is a day, probably. No, less than a day, probably minutes. I'll tell you, there's one time, I was new to manifesting. I really wanted to go out. It was springtime. COVID was ending. I really wanted to go out with some friends. So it was maybe like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I literally closed my eyes and I imagined that I was in a park. Sorry. It was really sunny. I was there with some beer and with some friends, and I literally probably imagined this for like 30 seconds, and I just felt immense gratitude that I'm in this park. I could visualize it. I'm in this park. I'm with my friends. I let it go, and within maybe 5 minutes, a friend messaged me saying, we should all go to the park and get some beers and have a good time. And he never does this. He never drinks. He never goes to the park. It's so unlike him. But he literally, within minutes of imagining this, he wanted to do it. And that's probably the quickest I've seen success starting happening, I would say.
That's an awesome one. It's I'm trying to think. It's hard, like you said. Time kind of goes out of the picture when you're like you feel like you have it now, and then hold on one second. I don't know if I froze it today. I got 20%
No,
battery.
you're fine.
I'm trying to think. It's like I know turning like major stuff would be like turning SP's opinion around in a week or 2 weeks or something like that. Little things it would be a lot easier. Like I can't think of any small ones at the moment. Like maybe. Oh, you know what? I think it was the same day when I was doing. Well, I was cleaning for a couple of days, and I didn't expect my SP to come over. It was that one where she came to my parents' house. I think I did that visual because I was visual. I don't know if you could count it though, because I was visualizing while cleaning and prepping for a few days. But then when I was messaging her, the conversation didn't really seem like she was going to come over. But then I just kind of
Yeah.
picture her walking through the gangway downstairs and like with me, and then like walking her to her car and stuff like so. Like her walking in and then walking out. Like I just did that real quick, and then like kind of on a flip, she's like, "I'll come over." Like I think that was the same day, but I don't know if it counts. That in Dion's plan, I don't know if it counts, but it was like kind of something over the course of a few days.
But that's, and I agree with what you said earlier. When you are if you're manifesting effectively and correctly, time really does go out of the picture. It does.
Yeah.
Like it just naturally goes out of the picture when you're in the present moment, feeling your desire unconditionally with no attachment to the results. You don't even think about time.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like because you already have it, and then
Yeah.
it's like you just forget about it. It's like, or you're working so hard on everything else, like you're
Yeah.
visualizing, you get so busy in your day to day life, and then you don't realize like last summer went by really quick because I got really busy. Like we weren't together last summer from like May until August, and I spent every day with my brother working on comedy videos. I was doing other stuff, and I was working out every day. I was tanning. I was going to the pool. I was doing a whole bunch of stuff, and I was like, I didn't even realize that it was probably like that was the longest time we were apart, but it didn't feel like it.
Yeah. How long do you visualize or do you revision? Do you only do it once? I generally, if I visualize something, what I'll do is I'll set a 10-minute timer on my phone and do it for those 10 minutes. But sometimes I don't do it for 10 minutes. I just do until I don't feel like doing it anymore. So I truly feel that desire is achieved and I don't feel the need to do it anymore. It's not with food. Imagine you have a bunch of food and you say, how long do you eat? And so I'm not hungry anymore. It's pretty much the same with manifesting. So I don't feel the desire anymore until I feel the shift. You will know when it hits you, trust me. But,
Yeah, you won't feel lack anymore. It goes away.
And they ask, do you only do it once? I'll do whenever the desire comes up. I don't really think about once or twice or 3 times. I brought success from literally imagining something once. Lots of the stories I've said earlier shows that. But I don't really think about, I only do it once or I do it 5 times. I live my life manifesting the very moment to moment experience.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to do it. And then this next question is, he said, "This is going to be a fun question, Mark. Well, how do you manifest to be chased and pursued by multiple people?" Well, Dion, I was going to say you're 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 worried about timing a lot and when it's going to happen. And it seems like until you're able to manifest someone, because I know you're manifesting a person out of thin air, until that person comes into your life, it feels like you feel like maybe you're not going to be happy until then. The thing is being happy with yourself and your life so that there's room for them to come in and feel loved because you love yourself. And you'll be more magnetic once you're at that state.
I would say with that one, it's probably self-concept. Like, people will reflect. And that's the thing. You could assume and just feel that you're chased by everyone. You could manifest that literal thing. But I'm starting to think about self-concept a lot in the last few weeks. And, you could instantly give yourself that feeling that you're chased and worthy and pursued by your own self-concept. So I believe, self-concept is one. Or second option is just imagine what it would feel like if people were chasing you in your imagination. And, I said with everything, fulfill it in imagination by using your imagination, but fulfill it in your mind and don't worry about the outside world.
Yeah, and it's like, and the way to feel that fulfillment too is like if you want to be chased by a bunch of people, it's like every time you hear your phone ding, it's like almost sometimes to be like a little bit annoyed. It's like another person, even though it's not, it might not be them, but it's like ding. It's like, oh great, here they are again. It's like, come on, can I get a break? Can I get a break? And it's like you just feel overwhelmed, and it's like, how does it feel? You feel confidence. Like I know I get anyone I want. I've got so many people. So I would say, yeah, just that feeling is a feeling you'd be after.
Yeah. They go for the feeling.
Yes.
Go for the feeling of being worthy, being loved, and being chased, or whatever. Go for the feeling, and the people chasing you will just be the physical manifestation of that feeling.
Yes. And that which just says nothing real, circumstances don't matter. You can have it, do whatever you want. Exactly.
Yeah.
I would say if no one else has any more questions, I'm gonna put a link up for, and if you want to follow him now, it's the Second Man is his YouTube page.
Yeah.
Neville Goddard Man is
My
his
Instagram.
Instagram, and I'll put a link up in a community post, and then I'll leave this up here. So if you want to take clips out, if I'm not lazy, I'm gonna try and clip it too for sure, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. Do you have any other things you want to say or talk about?
No, I was going to say thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. It was very fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun too. Thank you for coming out, and thank you. But thank you everyone who's tuned in. To all you guys.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. So as always, I love you guys very much. I'll share the Second Man's links, and we'll go forward from there. And if you ever want to do another one, this was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, I'll be down for in the future.
Sounds good. And I'll talk to you after this. Probably I'll send you a message. So, all right, everyone. Love you guys.
Okay. Thank you.